Oh my gosh, is that what you're wearing? Ugh, I can't even see. Turn off your cameras to be more presentable, and then we can get started. Thank you. Yeah. Well, tonight we're reading The Devil Wears Prada. And the wonderful, amazing cast that we have to read here with us. We'll start with Petra Stedman.
Hello, Petra Stedman, actress, writer, occasional fashionista, depends on more funds than anything else. Occasionally, at the moment, the devil is wearing Betsy Johnson, so hopefully that's okay. I will be reading the role of Miranda tonight. Welcome.
Very nice, or very evil. Next we have Heather Lee Cameron.
Hi, my name is Heather Lee Cameron. I'm an actress, I'm a writer, I'm a creator, and I'm a student in family history research. I will be reading the role of Andy.
Very nice. And Clint Monroe.
Hey, my name's Clint Monroe. I will be the role of a couple dudes, Nate, Richard James, Ray, Massimo, and the Bellman. And I'm also guard number 1, which is kind of cool. That's the guy that I really want to sink my teeth into. But yeah, I'm super interested to get into this. Sit back. I'm probably not going to watch or read as many notes, write as many notes. You don't read. Well, I guess you do read notes, but I just want to see and let the written word wash over my subconscious. So with that, I bid you adieu.
Alrighty. And Angel.
Hello. Am I muted? No, I'm good.
Nope.
I'm Angel. I'm going to be Sherry, girl, to Emily, Lily, Lisa, sales rep, and Earth.
Very nice. And the fashionably beautiful Vicky Dykes.
Hi, I'm Vicky Dykes. I'm an actress from Central Alberta. I will be reading action and description from intermission till the end, and 12 other characters.
All right, we appreciate that. Looking forward to all of it. And we're going to get this fashion show started. So here it goes, sharing the screen. Oh, as we can see here on the script, that this is an earlier version of the script. So it does have current revisions by Aline Brosh McKenna, but you'll see that it has someone else has credit at this point. But a few months later, it has her name as the main screenwriter on it. So you can see she made enough changes in that amount of time to earn her the full credit. And with that,
yeah, there's a lot of changes.
With that,
Sorry,
we'll have nothing. Thank you. With that, we'll have Angel take it away.
Okay. The Devil Wears Prada, screenplay by Peter Hedges, revisions by Howard Michael Gould, Paul Rudnick, Don Roos, and current revisions by Aline Brosh McKenna, March 10th, 2005.
Okay.
Interior Chateau France Day, 17th century mansion, a short distance from Paris. A dinner is set for about 100 people. Everything is perfect. Exquisite flowers, linen, silver. Anyone in the fashion world is there. We see Langerfield, Valentino, Marc Jacobs. Nigel Kipling, a dapper man in his late 30s, early 40s, speaks at the podium at the center of the dais on one side of the room. Our point of view is from someone else on the dais, so we see Nigel from the back.
Her name has become legend. Her magazine is a Bible for anyone interested in style, taste, and sophistication. Without a doubt, one of the most elegant women to walk the planet. I give you Miranda Presley.
Loud applause rings out, and from the back we see Miranda Priestley approaching the podium. We can only make out her fancy updo, the curves of her couture gown. As Miranda lingers, taking in the applause, we reverse to see whose point of view we are watching from. Andy Barnes, 20s, pretty elegantly put together. She stands a few feet behind Miranda. She applauds, smiling. Some of Miranda's light spills onto Andy. Miranda starts to talk, and we hear a brief screech of feedback. The screech dissolves into flashback. 2, exterior Midtown Street day. The screech of a taxi rounding a corner. 6 months earlier, Andy walks out of the subway station, clutching a piece of paper with directions on it. Andy looks nothing like the polished young woman from the chateau. Her hair and makeup are college student simple. She wears her best: white white shirt, blue skirt, comfortable shoes. Morning rush hour, pedestrians bustle past. She checks her paper.
Oh, 2 blocks to 57th.
Exterior 57th Street, day. She looks up an address, 125. She walks in. A guard quickly stops her, indicates she should sign a clipboard, which she does.
What floor is Elias Clark?
Beat. The guard just looks at her. Her heart starts to pound.
Don't tell me.
Honey, you want West 57th.
Exterior 57th Street, day. Andy busts out of the wrong building and starts to run, but she's moving against the pedestrian tide. We widen out to see Andy bucking the flow of people like salmon going upstream. She gets to an intersection, starts to cross the street, and just misses being decked by a bike messenger. He flips her off. She barely hesitates, starts running again. Exterior 57th Street, day. Andy is looking at numbers, and she sees, looming in front of her, an elegant tower. Elias Clark, 125. She runs towards it. Interior, Elias Clark, day. Andy trots into a building out of breath and stops, overwhelmed by what she sees. The lobby looms around her. The place is so big, so onto itself. Probably rains in here. Interior, Human Resource Office, day. Andy sits across from a bored-looking woman, Sherry. On the wall behind Sherry are framed covers from all Elias Clark magazines: a news magazine, a cooking magazine, a fitness magazine, and Runway. Sherry clicks away on her computer.
Thank you for replying to my query letter. I'm very excited about the opportunity to...
You like race cars? Huh?
Actually, for me, it's a toss-up between race cars and monster trucks.
I have 2 openings, one at the Auto Universe and one at Runway.
The fashion magazine? But...
That's it. That's what we have.
What if I came back next week?
Might have nothing at all. Interior Runway reception area, day. Sleek, elegant, hard-edged chic. Behind a large reception desk is an elegant logo that says Runway. Andy walks over to the desk.
I'm here about the assistant job.
The receptionist points her towards a seating area where there are a few other women waiting, each a tall, thin, dressed to kill fembot. Andy tries to smile at one of them and looks away. Andy sits. She can hear 2 of the other women chatting softly.
I can't believe I'm in this office.
Oh, I know. I would murder my best friend to get this job. Exterior reception later. Andy is trying to arrange herself in the uncomfortable sofa when suddenly a taller, thinner, and amazingly more groomed version of the woman in the room walks in. This is Emily, who looks the part of a sleek fashionista, but is propelled by a core of barely tamped down anxiety. Andrea Barnes? Emily looks up. Their eyes meet. And Emily takes in how different Andy looks from everyone else. Andy springs up and follows her down the hallway. Interior, Runway, day. Emily walks Andy down the hall. Who put you up for this job?
Human Resources sent me.
They do have an odd sense of humor. At the end of a long corridor is a bullpen, 2 desks outside a large corner office. Andy can only see part of the corner office, but it is seductively bright, sending light streaming into the bullpen. Andy and Emily sit down. Miranda has 2 assistants. I'm the first. We were interviewing for the second, junior assistant. Miranda is an amazing woman, a legend. Working for her sets you up to work anywhere in publishing. 1 million girls would kill for this job.
Sounds great.
The thing is, Andy, we are a fashion magazine, and an interest in fashion is crucial.
What makes you think I'm not interested in fashion?
Emily gives her a look. Suddenly, Emily's BlackBerry goes off. She gasps. Oh my God. No.
What's wrong?
Exterior, Elias Clark, day. A black sedan pulls into a sudden stop outside the building. Interior, Runway, day. Emily springs to her feet. What the hell is she doing here? She begins rapid fire dialing 4-digit extensions. We should have got you to do the first part, Vicky. She's on her way. Tell everyone. Just then, Nigel, looking dapper as usual, runs over to Emily. Her driver, text messaged. Her colorist has the flu. Nigel turns and calls out to the office.
Man your battle stations!
He runs down the hall, popping in Altoids and brushing himself with a lint roller at the same time. Interior Elias Clark Day. The sedan door opens. We see more flashes of Miranda. $2,000 crocodile Manolos, Chanel jacket, perfect hair, fabulous Harry Winston earrings. Interior Elias Clark Day. Everyone is in a high state of alert. Assistants frantically push clothing racks out of the way. Editors race into their office. Andy peers in, sees one of the editors changing from kitten heels to high heel stilettos, sees another curling her lashes, another lining her lips, another pulls on a body shaper under her dress. Interior Elias Clark Day. We watch Miranda, still only a partial view of her, click-clacking through the hobby of her 4-inch heels. And we see people reacting to her. We watch Miranda, still only a partial view of her, click-clacking. Oh, I just said
Sorry.
that. It's okay, you moved and I missed
Yep.
it. And we see people reacting to her. Assistants, guards, assistants, and secretaries cower. Distinguished executives bow their heads in respectful greeting. And Miranda maintains a high rate of speed towards the elevator, and she is about to get in. She realizes a lowly editorial assistant in the elevator. He immediately leaps out.
Sorry, Miss Priestley.
She doesn't acknowledge his existence. Her perfectly manicured fingers presses one of the buttons. Interior Runway Day. Emily looks around to see if everything's perfect. Andy notices. Oh my God, you're still here. Go. Andy gets up. No, stay. I don't want you walking past her. Just sit there and I'll pray she doesn't notice you marring the area. Andy sits.
Wow. This is like self-esteem camp.
Interior Runway Day. Miranda steps out of the elevator. For the first time, we see her head on. Miranda Priestley in all her glory. She's stunning, perfectly put together, a white Hermes scarf around her neck. Miranda's look is so distinctive you can spot her a mile away. She is unlike any other beautiful woman, singularly Miranda. Interior Runway Day. Emily runs up the hall to Miranda and walks her to her office.
Why didn't you confirm?
I did. He must have gotten sick overnight. I'm so sorry, Miranda.
Sorry is just an excuse to make the same mistake again.
We see Andy watching this, but Miranda seems not to notice. Here's the bulletin so far. At 7 o'clock, Simon calls from the Paris office. She figured out the dates with Testina for Rio. Testina? Okay. For Rio shoot, confirmed with Giselle. And then at 7:15, Michael Kors called about the Model of the Year party. He's at the house in the Caymans. I have that number. At 7:30, Natalie from Glorious Foods called to see whether you'd like the vacherin filled with the mixed berries, praline, or the warm rhubarb compote. At 8:15, Mrs. Samuels called to remind you about parent-teacher conferences at Dalton tonight, and you and your husband have reservations. Where are we? At the La Bernardin immediately following. And at 8:30, Donatella Versace called about the upcoming Miami trip. She wants to know, do you need any staff besides the driver, chef, Pilates instructor, personal assistant, 3 maids, and a yacht captain? Said to call her back ASAP, as the good yacht captains get snapped up very quickly.
Fine. I'll be ready to roll calls in 2 minutes. Let's try Donatella first, then I want Michael, Simone, and then Jay-Z. And tell Nigel I need an answer about swimwear.
Miranda stops at Emily's desk, takes off her coat, dumps it on Emily's chair, walks past Andy. Emily is relieved, but then...
Who was that?
Damn, she noticed her. Nobody. I mean, I was pre-interviewing assistants for you, but she is the last one, but...
I'll do it. You obviously can't do anything right.
Miranda goes into her office. Emily looks at Andy.
Oh my God, this is not happening to me right now.
Interior Miranda's office day. Andy enters hesitant behind her. Emily watches, nervous. Andy now has a better view of Miranda's gleaming office. A single flower in a Steuben vase. Photos. Avendon, Penn, Testino, and Mizell. A large photo taken by a very good photographer of Miranda, her husband Stefan, and their 2 girls, Cassidy and Caroline, and playing on the beach in the Hamptons. Ice Pellegrino on a coaster on the desk, every current issue of the relevant magazine fanned out precisely on a table. Andy walks in. Miranda is busy writing. Doesn't look up.
Who are you?
My name is Andy Barnes. I recently graduated from...
Andy hands Miranda her resume, which Miranda ignores. She finally looks up and gives Andy her patented once over, top to bottom, every molecule dissected. The phone buzzes. Miranda picks it up.
Yes, all the swimwear by 3 today. What was your major?
English, with an emphasis in journalism.
And why are you here?
Because I think I could do a good job as your assistant, and
Why are you here?
my
Andy
resume.
Andy is so taken aback by her directness, she blurts out the truth.
My resume got me a meeting with human resources, and they said it's this or auto universe.
Miranda takes this in, pleased by her honesty.
You don't read Runway, do you?
No.
And before today, you had never heard of me, had you?
No.
And you have no style or sense of fashion.
That depends on.
Oh, no. That wasn't a question.
She finally picks up Andy's resume, glances.
Editor-in-chief of the Daily Northwestern. Impressive.
I also won a nationwide competition for college journalists with my series on the janitors union.
Miranda holds up her hand.
That's all.
Andy, startled by the abruptness, keeps talking.
That uncovered the exploitation of the.
Miranda stares. Andy abruptly stops talking, heads for the door, but she then stops and turns.
Okay, listen. I may not know too much about fashion, but I'm smart and resourceful, and I will work very hard, and
Miranda says nothing.
And that's it. That's what I wanted to say. And now I'll just. Bye-bye.
Interior McSorley's Night. A dark, loud, bustling bar in those mixed somethings bars that you spend your 20s in. Andy is with her boyfriend Nate, a friendly, handsome guy with a great smile, and their friends from college, Doug and Lily. Doug is built like a linebacker and sweet as hell. Lily is artsy and offbeat. Andy is a full-body cringe.
Oh, I basically came out and told her I had no idea that she's one of the most important people in New York publishing. Oh, and then I rambled like a crazy person.
When do you find out if you got it?
Have you not heard what I've been saying? I was a jerk off. I'm not getting it.
You never know. Miranda Priestley is famous for being unpredictable.
Oh my God. How is it that you know who she is and I didn't?
I'm actually a girl.
That would explain so much.
Seriously, Miranda is a big deal. I bet 1 million girls would kill for that job.
Okay, now you're really scaring me.
He shrugs, and he thinks.
Maybe I shouldn't let this bother me. It's a fashion magazine. It's all about cleavage and lip gloss, right? I turned down law school to be a journalist. Runway's not right for me.
Her friends exchange glances. And Nate says,
I don't know. I mean, you got to start with somewhere.
Yeah, look at Nate. He's flipping chicken breasts at O'Neill's now so he can work his way up to being a chef. And I would take any job in the arts world, even if it was not exactly what I wanted.
So what you're saying is I just blew my big break in journalism. Great.
beat. And he puts her head in her hands, bummed. Luckily, I already have my dream job.
Your corporate research analyst.
Which totally rocks. Best things are the free bagels on Thursday and the bleeps. Oh, look at him. Okay, so there are no bagels and only a couple of bleeps.
Reverse.
Interior Nate's apartment done. Small, with a view of an air shaft. The bed's a futon. On the floor, Andy and Nate are asleep. Dim light starts to trickle into their apartment. Nate waits up, pulls Andy closer. Soon they're kissing. Their kisses become less sleepy and more urgent. And at the moment, Andy's cell phone rings, loud, with a ringtone that's ironically obnoxious. Say, oops, I did it again. Andy feels around, finding the phone.
Hello?
She looks over at the alarm clock, which reads
Now?
6:45 a.m.
Now?
Interior Andy's apartment, morning. Andy is in a hurry, has tried on every bit of clothing she owns. There's a huge discarded pile on the bed. Her closet is empty. She looks at her outfit in the mirror and is promptly overcome by a wave of self-hatred. She tries to pull her sweater off. The neck hole is too small. She hops around, tugging. Interior receptionist, day. Andy steps out of the elevator with all the runway girls who are turned out to perfection. She looks completely out of place. Interior reception day. Andy sits on the body-twisting sofa. Emily strides in.
I hope you know that this is a very difficult job for which you are totally wrong. And if you mess up, my head is on the chopping block.
She instantly turns on her heels. Andy follows.
So no pressure then.
We have 7 minutes before Miranda gets here. Let's go.
Interior runway day. Emily walks Andy through the hallways of the offices, introducing her to people, though not slowing down.
This is Jocelyn from Accessories. Jocelyn, this is Andy, the new me. Andy, this is Steph, Assistant Art Director.
All the women were meetings around 25. All the women were meeting around 25, 6 feet tall and about 100 pounds. The male employees, straight or gay, are all expertly styled and groomed. Suddenly, Emily sees a tall, gorgeous African-American woman.
What are you doing here, you witch? Oh, shoot. I just popped over to say hi to Nigel.
Emily and Lisa hug. Emily turns to Andy.
This is Lisa. I'm the old her. Miranda loves her and got her another totally fab job.
Andy looks at Lisa, curious.
It's not a big deal. Assistant editor at the New Yorker.
A New Yorker? You're kidding me.
Yeah, she's a huge kidder, especially with people she doesn't know or care about.
She gives Lisa a look. Can you believe these newbies?
Here's the man himself.
She waves her arm towards a dapper gentleman Andy saw yesterday. With Altoids, he extends his hand to Andy. Nigel Kipling, fashion director. You must be the new Emily. She studies her. A bit more benevolent than Miranda's appraisal. Finally, he sees her feet. What are those?
My shoes. My mom bought these for me at Nordstrom's my sophomore year.
Oh, so they're like vintage? She smiles. No idea. He takes her hand and spins her around. Oh my God, I love your look. It's like Oklahoma and New Jersey fell in love and had a baby.
Actually, I'm from Cincinnati.
No, it's not possible. Not you. He kisses her on the cheek. Welcome to the dollhouse, baby. He hooks his arm through Lisa's arm and he sweeps her away. Emily turns to Andy.
I have 3 more minutes to explain to you your whole entire job.
Interior runway day. Emily shows Andy her desk next to hers in the bullpen in front of Miranda's office.
You and I are responsible for the phones. One of us must always be here to answer them. She hates calls rolling to voicemail. Other than that, we have totally different jobs. I'll be in charge of her schedule, her expenses, her appointments, and most importantly, I get to go with her to Paris for Fashion Week in the fall.
Emily points to the Eiffel Tower screensaver on her monitor.
That sounds great.
Oh, Paris is fabulous. You wear couture, go to all the shows. It's the best thing that could ever happen to a person. And this time, that person is me.
Annie looks at Emily, amazed by her intensity. Just then, Nigel comes over. He is carrying a pair of stunning black Jimmy Choo slingbacks. I guessed 8.5.
That's right, but I don't think I'll...
Fine, use them as a paperweight. He leaves the shoes and walks away.
Now your duties. First, the food.
Interior runway day. Emily shows Andy how to set up Miranda's arrival. They move between the kitchen, the outer office, and Miranda's office.
It must be Pellegrino, frigid, and placed on her right at the 2 o'clock position. These are the only coasters we use. They're made of zebra wood.
Excellent. I don't know what that is, but it sounds cool.
Her breakfast and lunch are always the same. Scrambled eggs and bacon for breakfast. For lunch, a steak so rare it's practically talking. Once a day, we do a Starbucks run, and she gets a tall white chocolate mocha, hotter than lava, and 2 blueberry muffins and a blueberry bliss bar.
I can't believe she eats like that. She's so thin.
I know. She has the one thing I've always wanted, a metabolism.
Emily scoops up an armful of magazines.
Last thing, the periodicals.
They walk into Miranda's office. Emily spreads out the magazines on a table.
Fanned out with exactly 3/4 of an inch between them.
They step back into the outer office. Emily looks at the clock.
And then,
The clock ticks over to 7:30.
boom.
And at that instant, Miranda appears, talking on her cell phone, leaving people scurrying behind her.
I told him there's no way we're doing tartan or taffeta again.
She walks by Andy and Emily without acknowledging them or stopping her conversation. She drops her coat on Andy's desk and walks into her office.
Second assistant also does coat.
Coat?
Emily opens a closet. Andy takes the coat and hangs it up.
Coat. Got it.
And you will also eventually be responsible for the book.
The book? I'm repeating everything you say, aren't I? Wow, that's annoying.
Emily shows Andy a large wire-bound collection of pages as big as a phone book. Emily opens it and leafs through it.
The book is the Bible, the current issue in its latest form. Miranda needs to approve every single thing in the magazine, so she edits it at night. The book is the most important thing you will ever touch in your whole life, including your newborn children and eventually the face of God.
Andy looks at it. It's very impressive and cool.
Every night we deliver the book and her dry cleaning to her house.
To her house? Oh, I did it again.
You will only get to deliver the book when Miranda trusts you and feels you are worthy. Until then, I get the lovely task of staying late, waiting for all the departments to be done.
Just then, Emily's phone rings. She picks it up.
She wants to see you.
Emily holds up the Jimmy Choos.
I'm begging you.
Thank you, but I really don't think I need those. She must be fine with how I dress. She hired me, remember?
Interior Miranda's office day. Andy walks in, smiling, eager. Miranda's chair faces away from her.
Good morning, Miranda. What can I do for you?
And Miranda turns. Her gaze lands on Andy's shoes. Then her eyes travel up to Andy's face, a process which seems to take forever. Then all of the scary things she could do, Miranda does the scariest. Smiles. Interior runway day. Andy flies out of Miranda's office, briskly walks past Emily, takes the Jimmy Choos, puts them on, walks back into Miranda's office. Emily promptly takes the tissue from her desk, picks up Andy's shoes, and puts them in the trash. Andy walks back out.
She said she needs a skirt from Ralph Lauren for the Maisel shoot with Naomi next week.
Did she say which skirt? Did she say which kind? Color, shape, fabric? God, I hate it when she does that.
Interior runway later. Emily jots some things down. Andy checks her subway map.
To get to the Ralph Lauren store, I need to take the 6th and...
You're not going to the store.
Of course not. I'm going to his house.
You're going to the showroom. It's across the street from Miyake, over on Madison.
Miyake, super. Is that a restaurant?
Emily gives her a completely disgusted look.
I'm guessing no.
You need to pick up some other things as well.
She hands Andy a list.
Great.
Andy stands up, clutching her subway map.
And you do not take the subway on Elias Clark business, ever.
Wait, you're kidding. I take a taxi?
Emily hands her a list.
You have exactly 45 minutes to get everything done.
Exterior Elias Clark day. Andy steps out, sees a black Lincoln town car, walks over to it, can't help but smile. Interior town car day. Andy looks around happily, notices a little fridge, opens it.
Oh my gosh, Diet Coke!
The driver, Roy, meets her eye in the mirror.
I'm just a little thirsty.
Roy smiles, amused. Interior Ralph Lauren showroom day. Andy watches as the sales rep brings out skirt after skirt.
You must be new. Congratulations. People would kill for your job.
I've heard that.
Of course, she can keep these as long as she needs. And here.
She brings out a bag, begins piling items into Andy's arms.
For Miranda's twins. They love the new rugbies. And for her husband, I threw in a couple new suits.
Interior Chanel day. Andy enters Chanel, a towering 3-story structure on 57th. The sales girl hands her a pair of teensy white tennis shorts.
Is this for one of the twins?
Custom made for Miranda, silly.
Andy looks at the shorts. Inhumanly teensy. Interior Hermes day. The Hermes sales girl piles about. I see you, Petra. I don't know it. I'm okay with that. Sarah piles on about 25 scarf boxes onto Andy's outstretched arms.
You want me to get the driver to help you?
She's frozen.
No
Okay.
time.
Oh, there you go. Sorry again,
No
Heather.
time. Running late.
Interior, Elias Clark lobby day. Jocelyn, the accessories editor, waits for the elevator. Andy, winded, carrying the tower of scarf boxes, races over.
I made it back in time. You don't care, do you?
Miranda does have an eye for the sharp girls.
She must really like these things.
They're her signature. The Hermes white scarf. She's never seen without them, and she goes through them like Kleenex.
Oh, you know, if by chance you ever need any writing done, I was editor of my college newspaper.
Jocelyn looks at her.
And there's that thing again where you don't care.
They hear a ding at the elevator and walk in, but suddenly Jocelyn sees Miranda walking towards the elevator. She immediately gets out. Miranda stands by the elevator, looking at Andy. Andy stays, looking confused. Miranda waits. Finally, Jocelyn walks in and pulls Andy out. Miranda gets in the elevator alone after the doors close.
We can't ride up with her? Why?
Half a day on the job, and you're still asking why? That concerns me.
Interior runway day. Andy walks in, laden with stuff. Emily springs up.
Thank God you're here. I have to pee.
You haven't peed since I left? I'm sorry.
You haven't peed since I left?
I told you, these phones can never be unmanned. Not for a second. I'm going to lunch. We have 14 minutes each. I go first.
Andy watches Emily pencil-thin hips swing up the hallway.
You eat lunch?
Interior cafeteria day. A pasta bar, deserted. A pizza station, not a soul. A salad bar, girls crowd the lettuce area, though no one's within a mile of the dressing region. Andy walks over to the deserted soup station, ladles out some corn chowder into a bowl. Nigel joins her. Hey, Cincinnati. She smiles. He sees what she's putting on her tray. Corn chowder, interesting. Andy looks at him, confused. No, great choice. It's just that I think cellulite is actually one of the ingredients of corn chowder.
Isn't corn a vegetable?
You are a breath of fresh air. Andy and Nigel sit and begin eating.
So none of the girls here eat anything?
Not since 2 became the new 4 and 0 became the new 2.
I'm a 6.
This causes Nigel to choke on his salad. Just then, Andy dips a piece of her bread in the chowder and eats it. Across the cafeteria, seeing this, the 2 fashion assistants gasp in horror, like Andy just stuck a fork in her eyeball. Andy notices a short, expensively rumpled man walks in surrounded by a few important-looking men.
Who's that?
Irv Ravitz. Who?
Oh, it's Elias Clark. Wow.
That's him. Tiny, but he packs a punch. Andy watches Irv as he gets a tray and goes through the line.
And he's getting corn chowder. Great minds.
Distracted, watching Irv, Andy accidentally drips on her blouse.
Oh, crap.
On Nigel, smiling, she looks at him.
Oh, no, you don't.
He looks at her. What?
You want to lend me a blouse?
Got me. I'm an evil clothes lender.
I've already got the shoes. Next thing you know, it's a skirt. And then boom, I'm whirling in and out of revolving doors like Pretty Woman, getting totally made over.
And that's a bad thing?
Nigel, I have scruples. I'm a journalist. I won't be working in fashion forever. I don't think I have to change everything about myself just because I have this job.
Who told you that? Andy watch beeps.
I have 45 seconds to get back to my desk.
She smiles and gets up. Scruples and a digital watch. Oh, the horror. Interior Miranda's office day. The magazine staff is gathered by Miranda's office. Miranda flips through the racks of skirts.
Too 80s, too floppy, not 80s enough, too horrible to be believed.
She looks around at everyone. It is clear she is horribly disappointed.
The layout is supposed to be called the new skirts. These are the oldest, most cliched, tired skirts on Earth.
Just then, Andy walks in, silently. She lays out Miranda's coffee order in front of her.
We need to start over.
She looks at Andy.
Sit down, Emily. I need you to take notes on all of these changes. First of
Actually,
all,
it's Andy.
Pardon?
Andy notices she brought the room to a screeching halt.
My name is Andy. Actually, it's Andrea, but people call me Andy.
What a fascinating story. So entertaining, so full of useful information.
Everyone stares at Andy. Andy takes out a notebook.
The skirt is important, crucial, in fact. Women need separates that can take them through all facets of the day.
She grabs a skirt off the rack. Andy watches her.
This has sequins, but it's denim. It's of no use to anyone. We need to give women clear choices about what are you looking at.
Me? Nothing.
Oh, you think you're above this, don't you? We're talking about skirts and you're smirking.
I'm not smirking.
Oh, inside you're smirking.
And now the room is totally silent. Everyone there has had this happen to them at one time or another, and they're just grateful this time it's not them.
No, I'm not. I'm not above anything. That's my motto, I swear.
You see that droopy sweater you're wearing? That blue was on a dress Cameron Diaz wore on the cover of Runway, Shredded Chiffon by James Holt. That same blue quickly appeared in 8 other designers' collections and eventually made its way to the secondary designers, the department store labels, and then some lovely Gap outlet where you no doubt found it on the discard table. That color is worth millions of dollars and many jobs.
She smiles at Andy, who quakes.
Your superior attitude is not acceptable at this magazine, in this industry, or in my presence.
Interior apartment night. Andy is trying to come down from a day at work. She changes out of her work clothes into sweats and she rants. Nate watches her, amused.
She could be the most horrible person I've ever met, seen, or heard about. She's not happy unless everyone around her is panicked, nauseous, or suicidal.
She pulls an ancient Northwestern sweatshirt over her head.
And they all act like they're curing cancer or something. The skirt is important, crucial, in fact. Reality check, lady, the skirt is just something you wear because the jeans are in the wash.
You could just not show up tomorrow.
I can't give up, Nate. She may be heinous, but the job is a great opportunity. I swear to God, though, what I'd really like to do is go right up to her and say what I really think.
Quick cut to interior runway day. Miranda walks in.
Good morning, Miranda. Nice to see you.
In response, Miranda simply drops her coat in front of Andy and then, without so much of a glance at Andy, walks into her office.
Me? I'm fine. Thanks for asking.
Interior runway day. Andy brings in Miranda scrambled eggs served on china. She just looks at him.
Those are freezing.
Andy almost starts to say something like, "You didn't taste them," but reins herself in.
I'll get you new ones immediately.
She picks up the tray and carries it out, and with her back to Miranda, makes a face of explosive frustration. Interior runway later, day. Andy is at her desk on the phone.
I'll tell Miranda. Okie dokie.
She hangs up. Emily gives her a look of disgust.
So you're saying no on the okie dokie?
Emily hands her a piece of paper.
This is Miranda's itinerary for the week in Miami with Donatella. If she needs something, she'll call you. One of the perks of being second assistant. Make sure you leave your cell phone on 24/7. Don't mess this up.
On Andy, apprehensive. Exterior West Village Street day. We see Andy's dad, Richard, tall and distinguished, if a few pounds overweight, in a nice suit, is ringing the doorbell to Andy's apartment. Andy appears in the window.
Dad, I'll be right down.
Interior stairwell day. Andy walks Richard up the stairs. He's already breathing heavy.
I don't understand. I don't usually come to con law conferences, but I figured what a great excuse it'd be to come see my Andy.
Interior Andy's apartment night. Andy's father looks around, takes in the smallness, the kitchen tub setup, tries not to broadcast panic or despair.
There's a view.
She walks him to a spot where if you crane your head and peer over to the side, you can see a tiny sliver of some buildings. Interior Blue Ribbon night. Andy and her dad are eating at the restaurant on Sullivan Street.
So tell me more about your job. Your mother and I can't wait to get your first clip.
Actually, I won't be writing for a while. It's more doing administrative stuff for Miranda. Then, if that goes well, I can move up to first assistant, and after that, Miranda might put me up for a better job.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, I know. It seems like kind of a gamble, but I've met people who worked for Miranda and went on to great places. The New Yorker.
He eats his food for a beat, not saying anything.
Okay, what? Just say it.
Andy, it's just a little confusing. I mean, you were going to move on. You were going to move out here, and you're not doing anything that you said you wanted to do.
I have to work my way up. I have to start somewhere. Look, I know you don't understand because this is not your world, but this job with Miranda is an amazing opportunity.
And here I thought your acceptance to Stanford Law was an amazing opportunity.
Dad.
That school is so hard to get into, and you just threw it away.
Dad, you're a lawyer. Your father was a lawyer, and your brother. We have enough lawyers in the family.
Then why'd you even apply?
Because it's what you wanted me to do, and that's all I've ever done my whole life. What you thought I should do, well, this is what I want to do, finally.
This is your dream, getting coffee for a fashion editor.
If I were getting coffee for senior partners, would that make you feel better?
Yes, as a matter of fact. Because the law is intellectual, it's substantial, it's...
Just then, the cell phone rings. Andy looks down at it.
Oh, it's Miranda.
Andy picks up her cell phone. Interior Miami International Airport night. Miranda is surrounded by crowds heading home for the weekend.
My flight has been canceled.
She starts moving through the airport.
I have to get home tonight. The twins have a recital at Dalton tomorrow that I cannot miss.
Interior Blue Ribbon night. Andy tries to hear through the noise of the restaurant.
Hold on, I can't hear her. This will take just a second.
She trots outside the restaurant. Exterior Blue Ribbon night. Through the window, we see Richard eat alone. Quick cuts of Andy on her cell phone.
There must be something. I've tried that airline already. Let me talk to your manager. Call me back if there's a cancellation. I'm sorry, Miranda. I'm doing the best I can. Apparently, there are a lot of big conventions in town, and of course, I'll keep trying.
Exterior street night. Andy and Richard are standing outside Minskoff's Theater, where Fiddler on the Roof is playing. The crowd stream in. Andy is still on the phone. Richard waits, ticket in hand.
Sir, it's very important that you get a seat on that flight. Hold on. Miranda, it's just that all the charter companies are closed, and hold on. I'll call you back. Please talk to your supervisor again. Miranda, hello? Darn it.
She starts frantically dialing.
Andy, stop this. It's Sunday night, for Christ's sake. Enough is enough. The show is starting. Let's go.
He tries to walk her into the theater.
Dad, I can't.
Yes, you can. You did the best you could. You couldn't get her what she wanted. What she wants is impossible.
She looks at him.
Let's just go in, okay? I haven't seen you in so long.
Andy hesitates.
Okay, fine.
Reluctantly, she puts her phone in her purse, and as she walks in the theater with her dad.
Anyway, Andy, really, it's not your fault. How angry could this woman be?
Here, Miranda's office day. The brightness of Miranda's office. Miranda stands by the window. Andy stands there, cowed.
The girls' recital was great. They played Rachmaninoff and everyone loved it, except for me, because I was not there.
I'm so sorry, Miranda. You have no idea.
Miranda turns away from the window to look at Andy.
Do you know why I hired you?
Andy shakes her head. Miranda turns to face her.
I always hire the same girl, stylish, worships the magazine, and they turn out to be disappointing and stupid.
She smiles, that smile that pierces Andy to the core.
But you, with your great resume, I thought you would be different. I thought, go ahead, hire the smart, fat girl.
Andy's eyes widen. She's not even remotely fat, of course.
I thought I was being clever, but it turns out you're just as disappointing as all those other girls. And the only person I have to blame for your ineptitude is myself for hiring you.
Andy is frozen where she stands.
You stranded me in the middle of nowhere when my children needed me.
If there was a way, any way, I could make it up to you.
That's all.
And she goes back to her work. Andy stands there for a second, then leaves, and we see her eyes start to well. Interior runway day, Andy runs down the hall, biting back tears. She crosses paths with Nigel, who sees the expression on her face and pulls her into his office. Interior Nigel's office day. Nigel closes the door. She looks at him, lips trembling. Let me guess. You were trying not to cry the whole time you were with her? And she promptly bursts into tears. He puts his arms around her. Wow. So been there.
No matter what I do, I can't please her. I've always done well at anything I've applied myself to, but this is so hard. She's just so scary and horrible and frightening and scary.
She sniffles, blows her nose. He looks at her. Are you done? What? You want me to say, oh, poor girl, Miranda is picking on you? Get real, Cincinnati. Miranda Priestley is impossible. Always has been, always will be. Your job is not about pleasing her. It's about surviving her. He studies her. Andy, I've seen a lot of assistants come and go, and you've got talent. You're bright and hardworking, but you're not committed to this job. I bet you don't even read the magazine.
Beat. He looks at her.
Andy, if you want this, start giving this your all. Be who Miranda needs you to be, or else quit.
Nigel, I don't want to give up. I don't.
Then, what do you say? Are you in or are you out?
I'm in. I'll do what it takes. I swear.
He looks at her.
Well, if that's the case.
Oh no.
Andy?
Isn't there another way?
He shakes his head, and then she realizes he's right. She sighs.
Go ahead. Say it. Say the words.
I can't. Please. Have mercy.
Say it. Say those 3 little words I've been dying to hear since I met you.
Okay, fine. Make me over.
Interior closet day. With a grand gesture, Nigel swings open the doors to a large room that looks like a treasure cave, piled high with shoes, bags, clothes, furs, jewelry.
The best fashion has to offer, and we get the first look at everything.
Andy gasps, looks around the closet.
How are we going to do this? I only have 11 minutes left on my lunch break.
Don't worry, my record is 4 minutes head to toe.
She sees a beautiful, expensive beaded gown in the corner.
Oh, look at that.
She walks over to it, amazed.
That's a James Holt. James Holt. Even I've heard of him.
He's a genius, owes everything to Miranda. That's Emily's dress for the benefit at the museum in September.
Do I get to go to the benefits?
First, you don't want shoes. Now you want a ball gown? Only the first assistant goes to the benefit.
Nigel begins picking things out.
Okay, here we go.
He starts flinging clothing at her.
Christian Dior, fitted blazer, skirt by Tracy Reese, a little denim mini for the Chip and Pepper, Clement Ribeiro, cardigan.
Fling, fling, fling. Andy catches them. Interior runway day. Andy, carrying an armful of clothing, is rushed down the hallway into
Interior beauty department later. Andy is seated in front of a mirror, her hair and makeup being fussed over by so many people we can't even see her. Interior runway day. Emily is on the phone.
I had no idea why Miranda hired her. I knew from the moment I saw her that she was complete and utter.
And suddenly Andy appears in her gorgeous clothes, her makeup impeccable, her hair soft, loose, and pretty. She looks grown up, sexy, and above all, sophisticated.
Disaster.
Just then, Miranda's voice sails out.
Andrea?
Andy smiles at Emily and walks into Miranda's office. Interior Miranda's office. Miranda has her back turned, looking at some photos, a light box in her office.
I need these 3 blown up and printed onto.
And just then she glances over at Andy, the transformed Andy, and she gives Andy an almost imperceptible nod of approval. Then she quickly goes back to what she was doing, her back turned to Andy.
And tell him it's too saturated with yellow. We need to bring up the pinks.
And behind her, Andy smiles. Interior cafeteria day. Andy strides in, head turned. Is this the same girl? Andy walks in confidently under their stairs and heads over to the soup station, where she proudly ladles out some corn chowder and puts it on her tray. Interior runway day. Andy picks up the phone.
Miranda Priestley's office.
We pull out to see that while rolling calls, Andy is also filing things, doing a spreadsheet and unwrapping presents. She covers the receiver, holds up a
Hold on.
box
There,
to show
take
her
it and
look.
look. Careful, please.
Charlie Rose gave Miranda a phone for her
Oh,
birthday.
here.
She holds up an expensive, fancy Bang & Olufsen phone.
A phone. How tacky. Get rid of it before she sees it.
How do I do that?
Interior McSorley's night. Andy joins her friends and Nate. Andy plops the phone on the table, but everyone barely looks at the phone. They're all preoccupied by her appearance.
Wow.
I know. Awesome phone, right? Bang & Olufsen. Emily said I could keep it.
She keeps nattering happily.
Hillary Clinton sent a birthday present and Nelson Mandela and Lil Kim.
And they continue to stare.
I can't believe this is you. The girl who wore the same sweater for 3 years in college?
Lily looks at Andy's jacket.
Is that a Chanel?
Oh, don't be silly. It's a Balenciaga. Anyway, it's just a few clothes for work, so I don't stand out.
Wait, so all the girls there look like that?
No, they're prettier and thinner.
Dang it, I love your job. She reaches into her bag.
I have more stuff.
She hands out perfume, cosmetics, belts. Doug picks up one of the perfume bottles, and it's about to spray it on his hand when Andy stops him.
It's called Pink for women.
Men can be pink. I have pink sides.
Please, we're eating.
You know who's coming into the office Friday? John Updike.
Why? Does he need pants?
No, smart Alec. The magazine publishes some great writers.
Oh, yeah. Their article on the denim mini changed my life.
They all laugh.
Just because it's a fashion magazine doesn't mean it can't be credible. Miranda has covered some real stories: AIDS in Africa, domestic violence, teenage drug abuse.
He shakes his head.
I think you're really starting to drink the Kool-Aid.
Just then, Andy's cell phone rings. Nate grabs it.
Let me guess.
Give me the phone.
He checks. The name on the phone, Miranda.
It's the dragon lady herself.
Give me the phone.
Andy grabs the phone. Nate tosses it to Doug. I'll talk to her. Tell her she needs to get her own scrambled eggs.
Andy
And-
practically tackles him, grabs the phone away.
Come on, guys, give me the mother fetching phone.
They're all stunned by her vehemence, including Andy.
Hello, Miranda.
Interior town car night. Miranda is being driven home.
I need a messenger to pick up some sketches from James Holt.
Interior restaurant night. Andy on the phone.
I'll take care of it myself. Don't worry about it. I'm leaving right now.
She hangs up.
You guys didn't need to be such jerks.
And she exits, and all her friends exchange a look. Interior Elias Clark night. Andy runs into Elias Clark. Exterior Tribeca Street night. Andy pulls in front of a loft building in Tribeca in the town car. Interior loft night. Andy rings the buzzer. No answer, but she can hear voices behind the door. She opens it, and it opens. Inside, she sees an industrial-style loft with a party going on. Andy looks around. It's one of the New Yorker parties you think you'll never be invited to. And there she is. She walks over to one of the super hot women adorning the party.
Is James Holt here?
She points to the handsome man by the window, James Holt, one of the top designers, 40s, muscular, tanned, dressed impeccably. Andy walks over to him.
Hi, I'm Andy. I'm picking up some sketches for Miranda Priestley.
You must be the new Emily. Let me see.
He checks her out.
Shrunken blazer with a long sleeve chiffon blouse. That outfit was Nigel Kipley, has Nigel Kipley written all over it.
He hands her a folio with a handle.
You work for Miranda? You must be in desperate need of some hard liquor.
No,
I insist. Come on.
He walks her to the bar. She tries not to stare at the party guests. Is that Lenny Kravitz? Is that Julian Schnabel?
Don't get me wrong. I worship Miranda. She practically invented me. She'll have the punch. It's deadly. Have fun.
And he walks away. Andy clutches a glass of punch.
He's right. I had the punch at James' last party, woke up in Hoboken with my pants wrapped around a telephone pole.
She looks over, sees a great-looking, sophisticated man in his 30s who has an air of mischief. His name is Christian Harper.
I don't want to be rude to him, but I want to go.
Oh, no, you don't. You're looking around, you're intrigued, even titillated.
Gosh, I love it when total strangers tell me how I feel.
He laughs.
Christian Harper, sorry for being so editorial. I blame the punch.
Christian Harper, the writer? You write for every magazine I love. Your New Yorker piece on Al Sharpton that won the National Magazine Award, I actually wrote a paper on it senior year.
Did it mention my good looks, my killer charm?
No, but it did mention a few factual errors and your unfortunate insistence on using second person plural.
And what do you do?
I work for Miranda Priestley.
He shakes his head.
You're never going to make it.
Excuse me?
You're smart, you're nice, you have a point of view. You can't do that job.
You know nothing about me. You have no idea what I'm capable of.
Andy hands him her glass of punch.
If you'll excuse me, I have to go.
She starts to leave.
Let me guess, you have a boyfriend waiting. From, not high school, college. Moderately handsome guy, devoted, about to ask you to move in with him. But you're not sure.
She stares at him, appalled, and intrigued.
You are not a nice person.
Nice to meet you, Miranda girl.
He walks away. Steam practically pours out of her ears.
For your information, he's really handsome.
This doesn't cause him to turn around, though it does cause a few other people to turn and stare. Andy walks away, embarrassed. Exterior apartment night. Andy's walking back towards Nate's apartment. Holding the folio, she crosses paths with Nate.
So you got the nuclear briefcase enclosed with the locations, huh? I'm proud of you.
Where are you going?
Doug and some of the Yahoo friends are playing Texas Hold'em at his apartment. So I'm going to get some of that Wall Street money.
But I came back so we could hang out.
Man, I'm sorry. I didn't make that crystal clear when you stormed off after calling me an asshole. Oh.
Okay, look, I'm sorry about that.
He gives her a kiss.
I'll see you afterwards.
Nate, hold on a second.
Just then Nate's cell phone rings. Nate picks up.
Hello? Sure, Doug. Yeah, I'll get on ASAP. Six pack? No problem. Dutch or German?
Andy looks at him, hand on hip.
Very funny.
And what temperature would you like that to be exactly?
He waves to Andy and walks away. Interior apartment, early morning. It's pitch black outside and Nate is fast asleep. But Andy is already working, awake, getting ready. And it's a more complicated process now, selecting just the right outfit, applying makeup. Interior office later. We see Miranda. She is studying a pile of sketches from the folio Andy picked up the night before. Interior runway day. Andy is putting away dishes in the kitchen when Miranda appears.
Where's Emily?
She went down to production, but anything you need, Miranda, I'm on it.
You're not going to sing, are you?
Andy shakes her head no, and Miranda sighs. I guess you'll do. She hands Andy a piece of paper.
I need you to pull these back issues.
Interior town car day. Miranda and Andy ride along in heavy traffic. Miranda is tapping her foot impatiently. Finally, she leans forward to Roy, the driver.
Just let us out here.
She gets out. Andy scrambles to grab her stuff and follow. Exterior downtown street. Miranda sails down the street. Miranda walks fast, weaving in and out of pedestrian traffic like a sports car in an autobahn. Andy, in her heels, carrying a stack of heavy magazines, races after her. Not easy. Suddenly, Miranda disappears from Andy's line of vision.
Shoot, 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 shoot.
She finally sees Miranda crossing the street. Andy tries to follow, stepping into the street without looking both ways as a car misses her by inches. The driver leans out and unlashes a string of Jersey inflicted swear words. No time for Andy to recover. She takes off after Miranda. Exterior, Tribeca Street day. Andy realizes they're on James Holt Street. She catches up with Miranda and she enters the building. Interior loft day. Miranda wrangles the heavy door to the loft elevator like a longshoreman. Andy hesitates, unsure if she is permitted to be in the elevator with Miranda. She sighs.
Oh, very well, seeing as we're in a hurry.
Interior elevator day. Beat. Miranda and Andy ride together.
Interesting building. Last time I was here, James was having this party, and
Miranda looks at her.
this is why you don't like to ride up in the elevator with people.
Miranda smiled, a tight little smile. Precisely. Interior loft day. Miranda sweeps in. Her entrance is a surprise. James Holt runs over to greet Miranda. His assistant stops what they're doing and tries not to openly stare. Miranda and James embrace.
Hey, an impromptu visit. You're full of surprises.
Miranda places an envelope onto his desk.
The sketches you sent me for fall.
Miranda walks around looking at the pieces on the mannequins. A hodgepodge of unfinished items.
I was trying to capture the intersection of East meets West. The modern woman as a geisha meets rock star with a little desperate housewife thrown in.
Miranda stops in front of the red dress with too many flounces and flourishes and eyes it critically.
But obviously the collection is still a work in progress.
Actually, no, it isn't, my love.
He looks at her. I beg your pardon.
You're not going to produce this line. If you do, I will not put any of it in the magazine, nor will you get any department store orders.
Miranda, I know the collection is edgy.
I'm looking through the pieces, thinking kimonos, motorcycle jackets, gingham, most of it. I don't get it all. What I do get, I don't like. I cannot let you do this to yourself. Or to me. My reputation is on the line here, too.
Muted.
Andy watches James. The whole room is pin drop silent.
I gave you editorial coverage before anyone else. I made people take notice of you. I was the only editor in the front row of your first show at that warehouse in the pier. In the front row, clapping.
Miranda steps closer to James, puts a hand on his shoulders.
I remember every piece of that first collection. The swing of the chiffon, the vibrance of the embroidery.
She walks over to Andy and takes a pile of magazines, throws each on the table in front of James as she talks.
September 1997, you revolutionized the hemline. March 1998, you bring back femininity out of that horrible monk face. June 2000, you're the first one to do watercolor florals. February 2002, you radically rethink the empire waist.
She leans into him.
You don't just dress a woman, you embrace her. Give her the love she might never get from a real man.
And now the room is dead silent, everyone rapt. And Miranda is no longer remote. She's talking about something she loves, and it is written all over her. We see Andy watching this change in her.
You make a woman feel powerful, special, beautiful, even if she is none of those things. Her first day on the job, her wedding, her first date, you are there for all the important moments of a woman's life. That is what you were put on the planet to do. This, on the other hand,
she gestures the collection,
is just plain bad. Burn it. Think of something else. I know it will be divine.
And with that, she gives him another kiss and sweeps over to the elevator. Andy scoops up the runways and follows. James.
Miranda.
She turns. She nods. She has no vanity at all about what she has said. She exits. And as Miranda goes, one of Holt's assistants bursts into applause. A few others join in. James glares. They stop. Interior Nate's apartment night. Nate cooks for Andy. He's a chef, and he makes a regular old grilled cheese looking absurdly enticing. She digs in, starving.
I think it sounds shitty.
It was kind of harsh, but she was being honest. And she really inspired him. Look, she is tough, but she gets results. She has the best book in the business.
Oh, really? The best book in the business? Well, does that justify being a flaming bitch?
I'm just saying, she's just as tough on herself. When I get into work at 7:30, there's already a bunch of emails from her starting at 5 a.m. and the book is back in the office with her notes. I've never seen anyone so dedicated.
You know, I think you're developing like a nasty case of Stockholm syndrome, where people identify with their captors. It's like you want to be with her now.
Would that be so bad?
He looks at her. Are you serious?
I mean, she can eat as many grilled cheeses as she wants and not gain a pound.
He shakes his head.
Nate, come on, it's me. Same old me with better outfits.
Yeah, I like your old outfits fine.
She gives him a look.
So you don't like my new clothes?
He shrugs. She looks at him.
Really? What about this? This is brand new.
She gestures to her shirt, starts unbuttoning buttons, revealing a bra that costs more than her entire previous wardrobe.
Yeah, okay, I like that.
She laughs, then he kisses her, picks her up, and carries her away from the table. And just then, Andy's cell phone rings, and they look at each other, and both know she's going to get it. Interior runway day. Emily's at her desk in the morning. Andy walks in, and Emily immediately pulls her aside.
Oh, good. You're here. I need to talk to you.
Oh my gosh, what's wrong? I know. I didn't get her cranberry bliss bar yesterday, but they were all out and...
No, that's not it.
Is she mad about the thing with Lagerfield? I swear I had no idea he was allergic to camellias.
Andy, stop.
If it's about the time I referred to Prosenda Schuler as she, I get it now. They are two men.
Finally, she stops and takes a breath.
Andy!
Andy stares. What?
Miranda told me you can start doing the book.
Andy's eyes go wide.
Oh, you're kidding me. Wow. That must mean that I've done something right. How about that?
She smiles, very pleased.
Yeah, whoopee. Okay, now.
She leans forward.
It's very important what you do exactly what I'm about to tell you.
Andy nods, listening. Flash forward to interior runway night. We hear Emily's voice over as we see this happening.
You wait at the office until all the department heads have submitted their pages and the book is assembled.
We see Andy waiting. The area around Miranda's office is totally quiet. Interior Miranda's office night. Andy drifts in and looks at Miranda's office. The pictures of her with everyone from Desmond Tutu to Paris Hilton. And then Andy walks over to Miranda's pristine white couch, sits on it. Heck, why not? Lies down on it, gingerly. Then...
Book's ready.
And she jumps off the couch like she's been caught naked. Interior runway night. An editorial assistant brings Andy the book. It's heavy.
Then you take Miranda's dry cleaning from the closet.
And we see Andy do this. About a dozen garments on hangers. Exterior, Elias Clark night. Andy walks out, trying to juggle the book and the dry cleaning.
A car will be waiting for you.
Roy opens the door for Andy. Interior town car night. Andy whisks across town. It's late, the streets are quiet. Exterior Central Park West night. Andy swings down the street feeling pretty confident.
When you get to the apartment, the doorman will have your name and he'll let you in.
Interior Miranda's lobby night. The Beresford, a white glove co-op building in 81st and Central Park West. The doorman directs Andy into the elevator.
All you have to do is open the door, step into the foyer, hang the clothes on the hook, and leave the book on the table.
Interior elevator night. The elevator man lets Andy aboard, presses the button for the penthouse.
The important thing is just do those 2 things and leave. Don't talk to anyone. Don't look at anyone. Miranda does not want you to disturb her evening in any way.
Flashback to interior runway day. Andy looks at Emily.
You sure you got all that?
Of course. Book, dry cleaning, hook, a monkey could do that.
She smiles. Fast forward again to interior elevator night. Andy waits. The book and the dry cleaning are heavy. She tries to adjust the weight. Interior hallway night. Andy steps into the hallway, dimly lit with high ceilings and huge moldings. Miranda's door is at the end of the hall. And for some reason, Andy finds her heart is racing. She opens the door. Interior Miranda's foyer night. In contrast to the blinding brightness of Miranda's office, her apartment is dark, shadowy. The ceilings are ridiculously tall. Andy steps inside, her footsteps echoing through the foyer.
Dry cleaning on the hook.
She looks up, sees a hook, and is about to hang it when she sees another hook. Or is that an sconce? She scans the hall. Wait, no, that's a hook. No, is that a gargoyle? She picks up that one that looks most like a hook, hangs the dry cleaning. So far, no disasters. She lets out a breath of relief.
Book on the table.
And you guessed it, there are 2 tables.
Shoot.
Suddenly she hears a noise. It's a girl, about 8, walking into the foyer. One of Miranda's daughter, Casey, carrying a violin and a bow. Andy freezes. At first, Cassidy's face is blank. Then Andy smiles. So Cassidy smiles.
Hi.
Hi.
And Cassidy points to one of the tables using her bow.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
Cassidy smiles. The briefest moments between them, and suddenly they hear voices. Miranda and her husband, Stefan, are in the living room, a sliver of which is visible from the foyer. The voices are low, but we can hear.
What did you want me to do? Walk out in the middle of a photo shoot?
I sat there for almost an hour.
We were in a loft near the seaport. My phone didn't work. I told you that.
And I knew what everyone in the restaurant was thinking. There he is, waiting for her, again. And as he says this, he stops, curious. There in the hall is Andy, frozen, with Cassidy, smiling at her. And before Andy can stop herself, her eyes flow over to Stefan's eye contact. Her heart does a flip. Her eyes dart over to Miranda, and they make eye contact as well. And Miranda gives Andy a look of utter coldness, disgust, and judgment, harsher than any look Andy has gotten in the office. Interior elevator night. Andy gets in, heart pounding. Interior Nate's apartment, night. Andy crawls into bed next to Nate. He takes her arm and wraps it around himself.
Shaking.
I'm okay.
But she's unable to relax or even close her eyes. And that is intermission!
Sick.
Whew. All right, exciting and thing. No preview, no spoilers. Not till we get that. So
We know
see you
what's
guys
coming.
at 35.
I will be back.
All right. See you
I'll
guys
be
later.
back. All right, Petra, tell me how we're supposed to say Hermes.
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 Hermes. The H is silent.
Oh,
You should really watch Princess Diaries. You know what? We should do Princess Diaries, and I will be Mia Thermopolis. And I claim that I will do it. I mean it. And you can be my mother, Angelina. You can be
Is it the
Mia's mommy.
mother dearest.
is it
Doesn't that sound exciting?
is it the same person? It's the same person,
No.
right?
Just kidding.
Is who the same person?
It's what's her face? The person who
Anne
plays this.
Hathaway.
Yeah,
Anne
that's
Hathaway. She's in both, yeah.
If we do
In what?
Princess Diaries, I am Mia, and I claim it here and now, and it's on tape.
Okay. If we're doing
That's
Princess
totally-
Diaries, I want Julie Andrews. What's your point?
That's great. I'll be Mia, and you can be my grandma. So there you go.
Now,
Watch, Heather won't be
She won't play
available
nice.
when we actually finally do it. Ugh.
That could be the one that you host and cast and everything.
Oh, I love that.
You can.
Yeah, I know
That's
there's
what-
lots you want. You want Star Trek, you want Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So you have to,
You'll be running Table Read Tuesday next year.
be selective. You have to choose the one
All
you
of
want the most.
Okay, then one.
But all
I
right.
know I've got some work to do, but I've got ideas.
Oh, no one's saying that. But yeah. Clint, are you back as well? You don't have to turn on your camera if not. Just want to make sure we're good to start. Cool.
Yeah, I'm back.
Sweet, sweet. All right, everybody
Quiet
good?
place, so it's good.
What was that? Oh, gotcha.
I'm
Cool.
in a quiet place. Yeah,
Well, be careful of those aliens. They're,
I know.
And I take over for action and description.
If that
Yeah.
works for you. If
Yes.
Do you
Aliens.
have water?
It
You
was
haven't
more.
seen-
I was gonna say it was much more even before when Morgan was gonna be doing the other stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's okay.
Let's
I
go
would
back
tell
to
you-
the aliens, though. Is this an alien movie?
Is
Is that the twist?
A Quiet
Okay.
Place is.
Vicky, do you have water so your voice doesn't wear out?
Yep.
Good.
Good.
And I'm not going to apologize for mothering you, so don't ask.
Well, thanks for asking me if I have water.
Oh,
Do you have
I'm
water?
sorry,
Yeah, thanks for
Clint,
asking
my
me too,
dear
Heather.
beloved Clint. Clint, my dear beloved Clint, since he wants a production made out of himself, do you have water?
Yes, I do. Thanks, Mom.
You're so dapper tonight, Clint. We're just assuming that you had it all put together as the rest of your outfit. So we
I got like
but
50% of
Petra,
it
he
put
wanted a
together.
production made out of himself. He wanted a production so he could be reassured that he has water. So
I'm like most of the people in this show. I've got like half of it put together, and the rest I like bottle deep down inside.
Aw.
Aw, well, don't worry,
Like more
Clint.
your
I'm
outfit.
one,
I'm all
but
right
okay,
with you.
sure.
We're right there.
I'm one of those people. If you ask for my attention, you shall
Jacob
get
wants
it
to
in the
start.
form of
I
a
see their
production.
hand.
Yes, we can talk about this more at the after show if we have time and can and stuff.
Let's do it. Let's get
So,
into
Vicky,
it, guys.
go ahead.
Let's jump off the deep end.
What, Vicky?
Okay. Interior runway day. Andy walks in, already bracing herself, and runs into Emily, emerging from Miranda's office, very upset.
Okay, before you start freaking out, it wasn't such a big deal. Cassidy said hello. I said hello back. Then I glanced into the living room.
You glanced? Why were you glancing? Who said anything about glancing?
You're right. I made a mistake. I don't know what I was thinking. It was so stupid.
You can't do things like this to me. If she fires you, that'll jeopardize Paris for me.
She's going to fire me?
I don't know. She's not happy.
And they hear Miranda's voice ringing out from the office.
Andrea.
Andy and Emily exchange a look. Oh boy. Interior Miranda's office day. Andy walks in, apprehensive.
I'm really, really sorry, Miranda. I was nervous and
I need the new Harry Potter book for the twins.
great. I'll just run down to the bookstore and
Did you fall and smack your little head on the pavement?
not that I can recall.
We have all of the books. The girls want to know what happens next. I heard the manuscript just came in, and the twins need something to read on the train to their grandmother's.
Fine, no problem.
Oh, and one more thing. There will be no more second chances.
Interior runway later. Andy paces, panicky. Emily watches her.
I see. So the publisher is in London? Can you give me that number? It's for Miranda Priestley. What is it for? We're doing a layout on sorcery-inspired fashion. Yes, I understand. Thank you. There's no way I can get that book by early afternoon. She's after me, Emily. She wants to fire me. She's just prolonging the kill, like an evil cat with a tiny little unfashionable mouse.
Oh, look, you're getting paranoid. Yay, it's not just me.
Just then they hear,
Andrea!
Interior Miranda's office day. Andy walks in.
I would like my steak.
Smith and Walensky's doesn't open until 11:45.
Well, maybe we should just call Cassidy and ask her to take care of it since she did your job for you last night.
She smiles, the scary smile. Exterior Smith and Walensky's day. Andy flies into the frame and raps on the door of the closed restaurant. Marty, the manager, walks over, recognizes her. He unlocks the door, letting her in. Interior Smith and Walensky's day. From the bar, Andy watches the steak sizzle, pacing nervously. Andy's cell phone rings. She grabs it.
Anything? Can you try again? I would really appreciate any leads at all. Thanks.
She hangs up. Marty looks at her.
What an amazing job working for someone like Mrs. Priestley. Whew.
It is amazing, lots of fun, and filled with interesting challenges.
And out the window, something catches Andy's eye. We see what Andy's looking at, the newsstand right outside the restaurant. The current issue of the New Yorker is featured out front, and Andy sees the headline, Christian Harper. Interior, Christian's apartment day. A very chic, very masculine apartment in the village. Christian is writing at a laptop when his phone rings. We intercut between him and Andy on the street.
You're kidding, right? No one can get that book. They guard that thing like Fort Knox.
I thought you knew everyone. Can't you think of something?
It's impossible. Just tell her it can't be done, Miranda girl.
Have you met Miranda?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thanks anyway.
Interior runway day. Andy runs down the hall with Miranda's food. She passes Emily.
Is she back? Am I fired?
You know, I rarely say this to people who aren't me, but you need to calm down.
Andy ignores her, racing around getting the dishes and silverware for Miranda's steak. Interior Miranda's office day. We see the steak prettily arranged on Miranda's china. Andy sets up the salt and pepper. Miranda walks in, and when Miranda sees the steak, she freezes.
What is that doing here? I ordered this hours ago.
Andy looks confused. Hours?
Luckily, before I starved to death, Irv invited me to lunch. I will be back at precisely 2:15. I want my order from Starbucks here.
She gestures to the steak.
Get rid of that.
And before she exits,
And Andy, if you don't have that Harry Potter book by then, don't bother coming back.
interior kitchen day. Andy carries a tray with all the food on it into the kitchen. A beat. She looks down at the tray and suppresses an urge to throw the whole thing at the wall. She positions the tray over the garbage and tilts it, letting everything, steak, china, silverware, fall into the can. Interior Starbucks day. Andy is on the cell phone. She watches Miranda's coffee drink being made.
Come on, please. You must know someone. Can you make it extra hot? Like center of the sun hot?
The barista gives her a look.
Sorry, my boss is particular. Are you sure? You're my last shot. All right. Well, thanks for trying.
She hangs up. The barista hands her the coffee. Sounds like a great job you have there.
Actually, it is. It's a fantastic job. A million girls would kill for it.
And she starts to laugh. The girl stares at her. Exterior Starbucks day. Andy walks out of the Starbucks with the order on her tray. Andy stands there a moment. People bustle around her as she finds herself at a literal crossroads. She looks up at the building, and suddenly she stops a passerby who looks at her, curious. Yeah, lady?
Want a mocha?
And Andy starts passing out the stuff from the Starbucks to people on the street. An interior kitchen day, Nate on the phone, intercut with him and Andy on the street.
Bet, are you sure?
I failed. She's going to fire me anyway. Might as well beat her to the punch.
Holy shit. Well, good for you. I mean, congratulations. You're free.
Andy smiles, hangs up, and immediately her phone rings again. She looks down, assuming it's Nate.
Hello?
I'm brilliant. Really. Monuments should be erected in my honor.
We intercut between Andy on the street and Christian in his office.
You didn't.
Oh, yes.
No. That would mean I actually did something right.
A friend of a friend is doing the cover art. You can meet her at her office this afternoon and make a copy.
Andy just stands there stunned.
Hello? Andy? What's wrong?
The thing is, see, I was about to.
Oh, don't tell me you don't want the book now. I had to make love to a woman the size of a filing cabinet to get it.
And we see Andy. She looks up at the Alias Clark building, teetering on a precipice.
Do you want it or not?
On Andy, breathless. Exterior street day. Andy runs down the street. Exterior street day. Andy runs out of an apartment building holding a large envelope. Exterior street day. Andy stands outside a Kinko's. She's on the phone.
I'm begging you. You have to sell her. Just 10 minutes.
Interior town car day. We see Roy driving Miranda and Irv back from lunch. He hangs up the cell phone and then he turns down a side street. Miranda catches his eye in the mirror. What the hell?
Yeah, too much traffic on 5th. Putin's in town.
Miranda makes an annoyed face. Insert the tray with Miranda's Starbucks on it. We follow it down the hall and see it being set on Miranda's desk. And beside it lands, boom, an envelope. Widen out to see Miranda looking at the envelope. And then we see Andy. She stands there, quiet, calm. And if Miranda is amazed by what Andy did, she doesn't show it. She opens the envelope, looks in.
One copy? What are my twins supposed to do with that? Share?
Actually, I made 2 copies and had them color copied, reset, and bound so they wouldn't look like manuscripts.
She smiles. Miranda nods, but still won't concede the point.
And where exactly are these fabulous copies? I don't see them anywhere.
Interior train day. The Metro North from New York City to Bedford. In the front row, we see 2 matching pairs of
Their shoes.
7 jeans, pink Izos, and Hello Kitty barrettes, and 2 matching Harry Potter manuscripts, every bit as professional looking as Andy described them, being eagerly devoured by Cassidy and Caroline on their way to their grandmother's, and Annie sits between them. Interior office day. Andy picks up the envelope.
This is an extra copy to keep on file, just in case.
She smiles, her faith in herself restored.
Anything else I can do for you?
Interior 50 Carmine night. For the first time, Andy is early to meet Nate, sitting in the corner of an Italian restaurant when he enters.
Hey, you look pretty relaxed after the day you just had.
Nate, I have news.
You do? So do I. I sent a bunch of letters to the restaurant in San Fran, all of my favorites, figuring, what the hell. Nothing, got nothing to nothing to lose. And look.
He shows her a letter.
I have an interview at Chef.
Chez Panisse.
Thank you. Can you believe it?
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
The timing is perfect. You just quit you just quit your job so we can go out together. If you like California, Andy, there's a lot of great jobs that don't involve working for sociopaths, psychopaths.
He looks at her.
What's your news?
On her smile, trying to figure out how to break this to him. Interior runway day. Andy picks up the phone.
Miranda Priestley's office.
She's multitasking as she did before, answering the phone, stuffing envelopes, sorting an accessory pile, but we can see she's starting to get it down.
Oh, hi.
Interior gallery day. We see Lily at work in a small office at the back of the gallery in Chelsea.
The reservations are under Barnes.
Got it.
I've been working so hard and he's not that psyched about it, so I just want to make sure his birthday is fun.
Interior runway day. Andy on the phone rings.
Bye, Lily. Thanks. Miranda Priestley's office.
Andy's interrupted by the loud sound of someone having a coughing fit.
I'll tell her you called. Thanks.
Andy looks over to where Emily is sitting at her desk, blowing her nose. Emily checks her face in her pocket mirror. Horrible.
Are you okay?
I don't have time. I don't have time to not be okay. I'm going to have the benefit tonight. I'm going to the benefit tonight. If I live that long.
Just then they hear Miranda's voice.
Andrea, Emily.
Interior Miranda's office day. Andy and Emily walk in together.
I just want to make sure before the benefit that you are both fully prepped on the guest list.
Andy and Emily exchange a look.
Actually, I wasn't planning on going to the benefit. I thought only the first assistant went.
Only when the first assistant isn't revoltingly ill. You'll come and help Emily.
On Emily and Andy's surprised faces. Interior runway day. Emily dumps something on Andy's lap, a book of what looks like mug shots. Emily starts flipping through, pointing out people. It is clear Emily is a little miffed.
I don't see why she needs both of us.
She promptly dissolves into a coughing fit for about 20 seconds.
Don't look at me. It's Nate's birthday tonight. This is the last thing I want to do.
That's the president of the Met.
Andy keeps flipping through.
I need to learn all these people by tonight.
Don't be silly.
She pulls out another big book of headshots.
You have to learn these too.
And just then, Nigel bursts in.
Can't hear you.
What are you doing here?
Andy looks up at him.
Good God, we don't have a moment to lose.
Exterior street day. Nigel trots down the street with Andy in tow.
Black tie, the highest level possible in grooming and fashion? Few, if any, can pull it off. Hair and makeup will meet us there, and Harry Winston is sending over a few baubles to choose from.
Interior showroom studio day. We're in Oscar de la Renta's capacious showroom studio. A large logo that reads Oscar de la Renta is overhead. Sales reps bring out dress after dress on a rack. We see Andy overwhelmed. Suddenly Oscar himself appears. He and Nigel exchange air kisses.
Nigel, what can we do for you? We have an emergency red carpet situation.
He gestures to Andy.
Thing is, she's a 6.
We see the stunned look on everyone's faces, as if he said she had an extra arm. I'll see what we can do. Interior studio later. We see Andy from behind the makeup artist as he applies the finishing touches. Nigel selects a necklace from an assortment of necklaces. He drapes it around Andy's neck. Nigel studies the creation, proud. He sighs.
How do we feel?
Well, let's see.
Exterior street night, where we see a limousine gliding through the streets.
My feet are killing me. Everything pinches.
Exterior, Metropolitan Museum of Art night. The Met, all lit and abuzz for a gala charity benefit. A banner across the front of the museum reads, Runway presents the Costume Institute in black and white. A red carpet crammed with celebrities and photographers leads into the museum.
My breasts are squeezed into a bow, and this hairpiece is like having a boulder pinned to my head.
And suddenly the door opens and Andy steps out onto the red carpet. And she looks unbelievable, gorgeous, perfect.
Never felt better.
She takes a moment and then ducks around the red carpet, trotting up the stairs behind the line of photographers. And just then, Emily spots her.
Oh my God, Andy. You look chic.
But Andy is busy staring at Emily in her strapless dress.
You look so thin.
It's for Paris. I'm on a new diet. I don't eat anything. And then, when I feel like I'm about to faint, I eat a cube of cheese.
It's definitely working.
I know. I'm just one stomach flu away from my goal weight.
That's great. Congrats.
Emily smiles proudly and then dissolves into another round of bone-rattling coughs.
Ready?
Interior Metropolitan Museum of Art night. Andy and Emily enter. The scene takes Andy's breath away. The lobby is packed with New York's elite. Everything is in sight is white. White tulips, bone white china, white candles, white tablecloths, and chair covered in white silk. All the guests are in black or white. Emily looks around.
Everything has to go perfectly tonight or she'll have my head. You have no idea how many assistants she's fired right before they're supposed to go to Paris. That can't happen to me.
Well, just make sure everything goes smoothly then.
We'll need to make sure we're there the second she walks in.
How will we find her?
And just then, an audible murmur makes its way through the crowd. They, along with everyone, swivel their heads in time to see a woman making an entrance into the party wearing a spectacular red dress. It's Miranda, of course, a ruby in a sea of monochrome.
The crimson James Holt. She's a genius.
It's the awkward red dress James had in his studio, made over to perfection. Emily and Andy rush over to Miranda. Quick cuts to the ball. Andy and Emily stand at Miranda's side as she can't see the word.
Those greetings. Yeah, it's weird.
A distinguished couple approaches.
Emily,
Emily racks her brain, which goes blank. She starts to panic.
Wait.
Seeing Emily struggle, Andy leans into Miranda.
Ambassador Franklin. And that's the woman he left his wife for, Rebecca. The woman he's leaving her for is walking down the stairs in Valentino.
Miranda greets the couple.
Ambassador Rebecca, lovely to see you.
Emily gets Andy's attention and mouths, thank you. Just then, Andy sees a very fashionable woman with a more avant-garde look than Miranda, headed for them, and she's being escorted by none other than Irv. Emily whispers to Andy.
That's Jacqueline Follet.
From French Runway? I thought Miranda wanted her to come after she left.
She did. Jackson puts her in the worst mood.
Jacqueline and Irv head straight for Miranda.
Good to see you, Irv.
Miranda, you look amazing.
Then Miranda turns to Jacqueline. She kisses the air behind each other's ears, pretending to be happy to see each other.
Bonsoir, chérie. Trouvez-vous mon chéri?
I like your dress too. Very American. Sportif. Miranda smiles, but looks like she'd rather throw darts at Jacqueline. Andy quickly steps forward.
Alors, Jacqueline, dites-moi, avez-vous rencontré Brad Pitt?
Ah, no.
Venez avec moi. Pardonnez-moi.
She pulls Jacqueline across the room. Later, Andy and Emily are with Miranda, who was talking to Elton John. Suddenly, they're surprised by the appearance of Miranda's husband, Stephen, quite drunk.
Darling, there you are.
It's a banner evening. These people have failed to recognize me. One person called me Mr. Priestley, and now that dumb bartender refuses to serve me.
Everyone freezes. Miranda forces a laugh. Emily emits a cough of shock, but Andy quickly turns to Elton, distracting him.
I'm sorry to be such an idiot, but I think you are so awesome. I can sing along to like 50 of your songs. I think Crocodile Rock is my favorite, but I also love Tiny Dancer.
And while she chats with him, Miranda puts her arm around her husband and leads him gently away.
Come on, darling, let's get something to eat. I'm starved, aren't you?
And as she walks away, Miranda turns and looks at Andy. And Miranda mouths the words, "Thank you." Andy and Emily's eyes both go wide. Holy shit. Exterior museum night. Andy trots down the steps, exhilarated, checks her watch, looks up, and sees Christian walking up the steps, looking better than anyone ever should in a tuxedo. He smiles and clutches his heart like he's being shot by Cupid.
You look amazing. And I take it you still work for Miranda?
I am, thanks to you. And I'm doing great now.
Oh, is that right?
Sure is. Guess I'm not as nice as you thought.
Oh, God, I hope not.
He openly admires her in a way that makes it clear he's imagining her with the dress off.
If you didn't have that stupid boyfriend, I'd have to whisk you away right here, right now.
Do you really say things like that to people?
Evidently.
I have to go.
Say hello to that boyfriend for me.
She tries to bite back an incriminating smile, turns, and races towards her limo. Interior town car night. Andy is putting the finishing touches on wrapping a present. And then she starts ripping off her clothes, shoes, stockings. She grabs a pair of jeans, a t-shirt, and some boots out of a bag and starts to change. Interior restaurant night. Nate, Doug, and Lily are hanging out with Nate's friends when Andy walks in. She runs over, hugs Nate, and sits down.
I'm so sorry I'm late. One moment, Miranda just announces I have to go to the benefit. Next thing you know, I'm in a crazy get up directing Isaac Miller's Rahi to the Raw Bar.
They're kind of staring, so she tries to wind it down.
But the weirdest thing was that Miranda actually acted like a halfway normal human being
And she can tell she's blathering.
Anyway, I'm really sorry, and I'm sorry.
She grabs a menu.
What's everyone getting?
Just then, the waitress walks over with change from the check, and Andy realizes she's missed the whole dinner. And without saying anything, Nate reaches over and takes something off her head, her tiara. Interior subway night. Andy and Nate sit next to each other, surrounded by late night passengers.
I must have lost track of time. It's so strange. That's never happened to me before. I'm really sorry I was late. It won't happen again.
Nate gives her a look. Yeah, right. Music up. A montage that shows that Andy's career starts to take off. Her relationship continues to spiral downward. In the apartment, Andy wakes up. Nate is already gone. Runway reception. Andy steps off the elevator with all the other runway girls, and now, with her confident stride and her fashionable attire, she is indistinguishable from any of the others. Central Park. Nate, Doug, and Lily and a bunch of their friends play frisbee in the park. The summer is beginning to turn into fall. Camera finds Andy on the cell phone. Ralph Lauren showroom. We see Andy back in the Ralph Lauren showroom. They wheel out a rack of sweaters. Andy flips through the skirts, confident, selecting and rejecting. Apartment. We see Nate in his apartment alone, waiting for Andy. Finally, he picks up his jacket and walks out. Runway. Andy goes through the book with Jocelyn, clarifying Miranda's notes. A couple fashion assistants Take notes as Andy talks. On the street, dawn. Andy walks to work so early the sun is still rising. The air has turned cold now. She pulls her coat closer around her. Miss Orleys, Nate, Doug, and Lily out for drinks. Andy is nowhere to be found. Nate's cell phone rings. The caller ID flashes Andy. Nate turns off the ringer and ignores the call. Doug and Lily exchange a look. Interior reception day. A handsome Italian man, Massimo Cotellone, steps off the elevator. Miranda greets him. They air kiss.
Massimo, mi amore.
Miranda, benissimo.
He rattles off some more compliments in Italian as she leads him down the hall to her office.
Massimo, stop. I'm a married woman, you know.
She walks him by Andy and Emily.
Andrea, this is Massimo Corleone, president of LVMH. If you need anything at all, just let Andrea know.
And with that, she sweeps Massimo into the office. Andy realizes Emily is staring at her. She shrugs, as if what Miranda just did was no big deal. But Emily knows it is. Interior runway night. Andy waits for the book, no longer timid, blasting a song on the stereo and singing along.
Ain't I hot enough? Ain't I rough enough? Ain't I rich enough? I'm not too blind to see.
Suddenly the intercom sounds. Book's done.
The book is done. I said the book is done.
Interior Miranda's foyer night. Andy steps in carrying the dry cleaning and the book, moving quickly. Suddenly she hears a voice emerging from the dark.
Andrea,
Andy practically has a heart attack.
come in.
Andy steps into the apartment, curious and scared.
As you know, Paris is the most important week of the year for me. The schedule of shows and interviews is horrendous, and I'm under a microscope the whole time.
Andy looks at her, not sure where this concerns her.
And so, as you can imagine, for that week, it is vital that I have the best team possible with me, the most skilled individuals at the magazine.
And this is when Andy starts to have a bad feeling.
Yes, of course you do. And
You're coming with me to Paris, Andrea.
oh, no, 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 no. You don't mean that. Emily would die. Her whole life is about Paris. She hasn't eaten in weeks.
It's not for you to tell me what I can and cannot do. You are coming with me to Paris.
With all due respect, I can't do that, Miranda. I just can't. I've only been at Runway for 5 months.
Miranda shrugs. Fine.
Then you're fired.
Excuse me?
Well, if you don't come to Paris, I'll have to assume you're not serious about your job. I'll have no choice but to dismiss you.
Andy looks at her, stunned.
On the other hand, if you do a good job in Paris and continue to impress me, there's no end to your future at Runway or anyplace else.
She smiles, at her very most seductive.
The decision, of course, is strictly up to you.
But
That's all.
Interior elevator night. Andy rides down in shock. She closes her eyes. Damn it. Exterior Central Park West night. Andy walks out of Miranda's building. Roy opens the door for her, but she waves him away. Exterior Broadway night. Andy walks downtown alone, thinking. Interior Andy's apartment later. Andy looks around the clips of all her articles from college and at a picture of herself at graduation, surrounded by her parents, her relatives, her friends. Her parents are beaming, exuding pride. Interior runway day. The desks outside Miranda's office are empty. We hold for a few beats. Then Andy comes in, walking slowly, still unsure. And at that moment, Miranda appears. They look at each other. Miranda nods almost imperceptibly. Andy nods back. And Miranda takes her coat off. Andy holds out her arm to take the coat from her. But Miranda puts the coat on Emily's desk instead, right in front of Emily's Eiffel Tower screensaver. And then Miranda strides into her office, Andy sits down, trying to grasp the magnitude of what just happened. And just then, Miranda pokes her head back in,
Don't forget to tell Emily.
and we see Andy's face. Me? Interior runway day. Andy is waiting for Emily, dreading her arrival. Suddenly, she can't take it anymore. She dials the phone. Exterior Midtown Street day. Emily flies down the street in even more than her usual tizzy.
Emily,
Sorry, I'm late. I got there early and realized I forgot more than the Hermes scarf for the trip.
Emily, I have to talk to you.
Freaked out, of course, but then I just called Chantel at home and she opened the store early, so I got them.
Emily juggles a stack of the bright orange Hermes scarf boxes, her purse, her cell phone. Emily almost mows down an old lady. She mouths, sorry.
Okay, Emily, when you get in, I want to talk to you about something.
I hope it's not another Miranda problem.
Not exactly.
Good, because I've got so much to deal with before I go. I swear to God, I can't even.
And that's when Emily steps into the street without looking. The second she steps off the sidewalk, blam, Emily is hit by a taxi. We see her purse, her cell phone, her orange Hermes shopping bag, some orange Hermes boxes, and some of the white scarves as they fly through the air. Interior Lenox Hill Hospital day. Andy sits in the waiting room, distraught. Interior hospital room day, lying in a hospital bed, her face with no makeup, wearing a dumpy hospital robe. Emily looks like she is a skinny, tired young girl. Andy stands by the window, arms folded, defensive.
I don't care if she was going to fire you or beat you with a hot poker. You should have said no.
I didn't have a choice. You know how she is.
Just then, an orderly walks in with her dinner, laden with fattening foods, a creamy soup, bread, pasta, cheese, and dessert. Emily grabs a pudding, peels off the foil top.
What gets me about this whole thing is you're the one who pretends you don't care about this stuff. You don't care about fashion. You just want to be a journalist. Blah, blah, blah. What a pile of bullcrap.
She angrily finishes the last spoon of pudding, grabs a dinner roll, which she starts to butter.
Look, I know you're mad, and I don't blame you.
Face it, Andy. You sold your soul the day you put on those Jimmy shoes.
She bites off a hunk of dinner roll.
And you know what really kills me? The clothes you're about to get. You don't deserve them. You eat carbs, for Christ's sake. Gosh, it's so unfair. Just go.
Emily.
I said go.
Interior runway day. Andy sits in Nigel's office as Nigel and the fashion assistant swirl outfits in front of her.
To accompany Miranda to a bistro, cuffed charcoal gray theory pants with a black silk turtleneck by Celine. For the tennis club where she'll receive private lessons, bootleg workout pants, zip-up hoodie, and tank top, all by PRADA Sport. For the front row of the Chanel show, a pleated schoolgirl skirt with anisori with a sheer white muumuu blouse, and Chanel spectators with a Michael Kors blazer.
A beauty editor appears in front of Andy with a cosmetic bag. Here are your shadows, liners, lipsticks in matte, high shine, long lasting and clear, 6 mascara from light blue to pouty black, eyelash curlers, and 2 eyelash combs, liquid, solid, and powder blush, and of course, your moisturizers, glimmering, tinted, scented, unscented, hypoallergenic, alpha hydroxy. The beauty editor now pulls out a sketchbook with a different page for each event, with labels like outdoor daytime and relaxed evening glamour, not for black tie.
Oh, there's no way I can do all this.
Hopefully you won't have to. This is for emergencies only. If for some reason your hair and makeup people can't make it.
I have my own hair and makeup person.
They all laugh.
You don't get it. You will be with Miranda every waking hour. You are part of the image she reflects to the world. You need to look right.
And suddenly, more racks of clothing are rolled in.
And now for the evening attire.
And Andy, there's more clothes. Interior runway night. The hubbub has died down. Andy looks at Nigel, exhausted.
On Saturday night, Miranda is throwing the event of the Fashion Week and a soiree honoring James Holt. I'll be there, of course, but you need to make sure it goes without a hitch.
Sure, great. Somebody shoot me.
You know, the funny thing? Haven't known you for that long, but I'm gonna really miss you.
She looks at him. What? He smiles.
Who's leaving Runway? Who's got a new job? Oh, yes, me.
You're kidding me.
James Holt just got $1 billion from LVMH. You know, they have that dreamboat president, Massimo. He's giving James money to start a new line, and he needs a partner. Miranda knows she put me up for it.
Oh my gosh, Nigel, that's amazing. What a fantastic job.
Oh, I know. Pays up the wazoo. Lots of money and power. What's not to like? People would kill for a job like that.
He looks at her.
What the hell is wrong with you? No one with a pile of free couture would ever have that expression on their face.
I wish I could get excited about going to Paris, but I still feel terrible.
You mean about Emily? Oh, please. Emily would have sold you out 10 times faster than you did.
That doesn't make it right.
Oh, please. Don't give me that Miss America crap. You did what you had to do. End of story. Andy, after Paris, the sky's the limit for you.
Andy takes us in.
Who knows? You might even be a size 4 one day.
She gives him a look.
Car picks you up tomorrow, 6 a.m.
Interior Chelsea Gallery night. Lily has curated a show at the gallery where she works. The place bustles with groovy art people. Lily runs around like she owns the place, much the way Andy does at Runway now. Andy walks in, looks around, impressed by the art and the crowd. Lily spots Andy and runs over. They hug.
Oh my gosh, Lily, look at this.
I'm just a junior curator.
Stop that. This is amazing. I am so proud of you.
So glad you came. I wasn't sure you'd be able to make it.
What are you talking about? I wouldn't miss this.
Lily looks at her, smiles.
Okay, so lately I missed a few things, a lot of things, almost everything.
You're here now. That's all that matters.
Lily runs off to greet someone. Andy walks over to Doug, who's at the buffet, carefully piling shrimp on a tiny plate.
Hey, Dougie.
Hey, got fired today. Want some shrimp?
You got...
I'm broke. I'm lying to my parents today. I watched 6 episodes of Pimp My Ride on TiVo. I feel awesome. Seriously, take a shrimp.
Doug, I'm so sorry.
Don't be. I'm staring into the abyss, but the abyss is cool.
Interior Chelsea Gallery later. Andy waits for the bathroom. She hears voices.
Hey, Miranda girl.
She closes her eyes. Can't be. She turns. Yep.
What are you doing here?
Art. I like art. You know, I was just thinking about you.
Bo.
I'm doing a profile on Gautier for New York, and I was making plans for Paris, and I found myself wondering if my Miranda girl would be there.
Actually,
Stop smiling. Why am I smiling?
I am going. I just found out, and
That's great. I'm staying at this killer hotel in Marais, right across the street from the falafel restaurant that will change your life.
sorry, I'll be too busy working. You'll have to find someone else's life to change.
But that's just it. I'm starting to wonder if I can.
And with that, he leans in, plants a soft kiss on her cheek. Andy closes her eyes, blushing like crazy. And when she opens her eyes, Christian is gone. And it's not for a moment that she notices Lily about 10 feet away staring at her, a look of surprise and disgust on her face. Interior Chelsea Gallery night. Andy follows Lily through the gallery.
He's just a guy I know from work.
Yeah, that looked like work.
You're making a big deal out of...
And the Andy I know is madly in love with Nate, is always 5 minutes early, and thinks Old Navy is couture. For the last 16 years, I've known you. I've known everything about that Andy, down to her last hangnail. But this person,
She gestures to Andy.
this glamazon, who skulks around in corners with some random hot fashion guy? I don't get her.
Andy tries to say something, but Lily interrupts.
In case you're interested, Nate is looking for you.
She indicates Nate across the room. He waves. She walks over to him and gives him a kiss. Exterior Chelsea Gallery later that night. Nate and Andy walk together down the street away from the gallery. The street is shiny from a recent rain.
I think it's great. Going to Paris, I mean, that's a big opportunity.
I know, but it means I can't go to California and...
Please, you were never going to come with me.
Look, I know you're upset because I've been so busy, missed your birthday.
Andy, please, I don't care about that stuff. It's you. You're changing.
That's not true.
You used to be thoughtful, down to earth, no bullshit. When you started this job, you laughed at runway girls, their vanity, their pettiness, the way they worship Miranda, and now you become one of them, some new creature. It's like Mirandy.
I don't understand what you're asking me to do. Quit? I can't give up now. I've worked too hard, come too far.
Andy, all I know is if I met you today, I don't know if I'd even want to come over and talk to you, let alone spend 2 years of my life with you.
You don't mean that.
Yeah, Andy, I do.
Beat. Andy tries to catch her breath.
Then maybe this trip is coming at a good time. Maybe we should take a break for a while.
She stands there waiting for him to protest, throw his arms around her. Instead, he walks away.
Needs!
He turns, and just then her phone rings. They both know who it is, and that she has to take the call.
In case you're wondering, the person whose calls you're always going to take, that's the relationship you're in.
The phone keeps ringing.
I hope you two are very happy together.
And he walks away. Andy clicks on the phone.
Hello, Miranda.
Interior airplane day. Miranda and Andy are in first class. The tray of champagne and orange juice comes around. Miranda waves it off. Andy does too. Interior airplane day. Andy goes back to the galley, grabs a couple of the champagne glasses and downs them. The flight attendants stare. Interior airplane night. It's dark now and everyone on the plane is asleep. Miranda is asleep, mouth closed, makeup seamless, not a hair out of place, perfect even at rest. We move over to Andy, who sleeps like a normal person, hair askew, mouth slightly open. Interior limo night. Andy looks out the window, watching Paris at night whizzing by her. She is in awe. Miranda is not even looking out the window. Exterior place to Vendome. Night. The Paris Ritz. Miranda's limo pulls up. Interior Ritz Hotel suite. Paris night. The bellman opens the door to a huge suite. Andy looks confused.
Wait, this is not right. Miranda is staying in the suite.
That's correct, mademoiselle. Miranda Priestley's suite is down the hall.
This is my room?
Interior Miranda's Ritz Hotel suite night. Andy walks into Miranda's room, which makes the other place look like a dump. She stares.
Get out the guest list. We need to start working on the seating chart.
Andy grabs her notebook, tries not to gape at the luxurious surroundings.
By all means, move at a glacial pace. You know how that thrills me.
Andy springs to attention. Interior Ritz Hotel room night. Andy, in the sumptuous Ritz robe, looks out the window at the amazing view. Can't believe she's here. She smiles. Interior Miranda's Ritz Hotel suite day. The next morning, we see Miranda getting ready. A team of people work on her hair, makeup, pedicure, manicure. We move across through the wall, interior Ritz Hotel room day, to the room next door where we see Andy getting the exact same VIP treatment. She can't believe this is happening to her. Quick cuts of Andy and Miranda in Paris. Interior fashion show day. Andy sits in the front row beside Miranda. Half the invitees are looking at the clothes. The other half are watching Miranda's reaction to the clothes. Interior Paris restaurant night. A tiny restaurant on Rue de Richelieu called Dave where all the fashion notables eat during Fashion Week. Miranda dines with a table full of designers, editors, and celebrities, and Andy is right there beside her. Interior Miranda's Ritz Hotel suite day. A map of the inside of the chateau with tables arranged on it. Andy does the seating arrangements with Miranda looking over her shoulder, pointing. Interior fashion show night. The Versailles show. Miranda walks by the paparazzi waiting outside the show. They scream her name. She shows off her best smile. Andy squints, blinded by the flashbulbs. Interior Ritz lobby day. Andy stands near Miranda, who is in the lobby chatting with Stella McCartney, when Christian comes up beside Andy.
I think you owe me.
She turns and is happy to see a friendly face.
Oh, do I?
You working tonight?
Actually, Miranda has a time.
So you're free. Perfect. Oh, but there's a problem, huh? Le boyfriend.
At the mention of this, Andy blushes slightly.
Wait, don't tell me. The boyfriend is not plus? Je suis très désolé.
Oh, you are so full of crap. You are not désolé at all.
Yeah, not even a little bit. What time should I pick you up tonight?
Interior Ritz Hotel room evening. Andy is getting dressed in one of her many fab outfits. Interior Miranda's Ritz Hotel suite. Evening. Miranda is just out of the shower when she hears a knock at the door. She opens it and a bellman hands her an envelope. Interior Ritz Hotel corridor day. Andy walks down the hall to Miranda's suite, feeling cheerful, looking great. She knocks on the door. Miranda opens the door and immediately turns away, walking over to the window. She looks out over the rooftops of Paris. Interior Miranda's Ritz Hotel suite, continuous. Andy follows and her eyes widen as she notices something which shocks her to the core. Miranda is wearing sweatpants.
I came to remind you, you're having dinner at Natalie Lehman's house in the country this evening, and
Miranda walks back over to the window without a word, looks back out over the city.
Do you know where I grew up?
Andy shakes her head. Couldn't be more surprised by the conversation if they were both on fire.
Pearl River, New York, right on the border with Jersey. Cultural highlight, the Nanuet Mall. My dad owned a tire store. But Pearl River's only 30 miles from Manhattan on the Palisade Parkway. I grew up reading Runway, Elle, Vogue, sneaking into New York to stand in the back of the show, soaking it all up.
Andy is perfectly still.
When I was hired as Natalie's assistant, I knew I'd make it. I knew I would be her someday. That's all I ever wanted to be, the editor of Runway.
A long beat. And finally Miranda turns. She has no makeup on. Her hair is damp and unstyled, and she's obviously been crying.
We need to think of a way to keep this out of the New York press.
Andy looks at her, not understanding. Miranda points at an envelope on the table.
Divorce papers. Preliminary, of course.
Andy takes in the shock of this.
Funny thing is, I thought Stephen and I were actually going to make it third time's the charm and all. I used to call him my lucky third. At first, they're always so proud to be with me, proud to be with a powerful, accomplished woman. They say they don't want some little housewife, but then I love him. Sorry. Good. I love him. I do. I just can't be what he wants me to be. And my girls, another stepfather, gone.
And she can't even bring herself to think this part through.
You want to take the evening off? I can reschedule everything.
Miranda looks at her. Interior Wright Hotel lobby night. We see Miranda striding through the lobby, and what we notice is she looks like regular Miranda. Done up, perfect, confident walk. Exterior Ritz Hotel night. Miranda breezes out of the hotel, gets in the waiting limo. Interior limo night. Miranda closes the door, takes a deep breath, and now that she's alone, for 1 second, the veneer cracks. Just a little.
Let's go.
Interior L'Ambroise night. Christian and Andy have dinner in a tiny romantic restaurant on the Place de Vaux.
Oh, come on. You hate her. She whips you with tire chains.
She can be tough to work for, but there's another side to her.
No, there isn't. She's a ball buster. That's all.
You wouldn't be saying that if you were a man. Or if she were a man, you'd be admiring her strength, her grit, her tenacity, but because she's a woman, those things make her a ball buster.
He laughs.
What's so funny?
You, defending her. You've crossed over to the dark side completely. It's pretty sexy.
He grins. Pours her more wine. Interior L'Ambroise night. They drink glass after glass of wine. Exterior Paris street night. They walk home together through the Place des Vosges.
I never understood why everyone was so crazy about Paris, but now
She swirls around,
it's so beautiful.
and suddenly he catches one of her arms and, almost like a dance move, pulls her into him and kisses her.
Oh, I can't do this.
Another kiss,
Nita and I only split up a few days ago.
another kiss,
I've had too much wine and my judgment is impaired.
another kiss.
I barely know you and I'm in a strange city.
He kisses her again.
I'm out of reasons.
Thank God.
Interior Christian's hotel room night. Andy and Christian are kissing on his bed. Her phone rings. Cops, I did it again. Andy ignores it. Oops. But we see the caller ID. It says Mom and Dad. Dissolve to interior Christian's hotel room morning. Andy wakes up. Her careful hair and makeup from the night before are wildly askew. She realizes what she did and that she has a headache. She sits up, catches sight of herself in the mirror. Ouch. Ah. We hear the sound of the shower running. Christian calls out.
Order room service. Anything you want.
I have to go back to my room and
Can't hear you.
Andy starts getting dressed. As she picks up her jacket, she knocks over a few papers and sees something sticking out. A mock-up of a magazine with the familiar runway logo. She picks it up. Interior shower day. Christian stands under the spray of water. Suddenly the shower curtain is yanked back. Andy standing there, furious. She holds up the issue of mock-up.
what the hell is this?
Christian, cool as can be, steps out, nude, and grabs a towel, which he wraps around himself.
It's a sample
Of
what American Runway is going to look like when Jacqueline is editing it.
He pulls on a t-shirt.
We worked on it together. She's bringing me in to run all the editorial content of the magazine.
they're replacing Miranda?
Are you really surprised? Runway is one of the most expensive books in the business. Jacqueline does the same thing with a lot less money.
And that's the most important thing.
Money is always the most important thing.
You think I've crossed over to the dark side? Listen to yourself.
Who said I was not on the dark side?
This is a crappy thing to do to her after all she's done for Elias Clark. Miranda will be devastated. Runway is her whole life.
Something tells me she'll land on her feet. I guess it's not the worst thing that you found out. You'll probably have to look for a new job. Irv's going to tell Miranda this morning at breakfast.
He turns to his closet and contemplates his sports coats.
And I'm not worried about you. You've proven that you're more than capable of fending for yourself.
He picks the jacket, puts it on, turns to Andy, only to find the door open and Andy gone. Interior Ritz Hotel corridor day. Andy races down the hall. Her cell phone rings again. She looks at it. Mom and Dad. She turns off the ringer. She knocks on Miranda's door. No answer. She thinks. Dials. Interior Nigel's hotel room day. Nigel is just waking up in his hotel room in Paris.
I've tried her cell 50 times.
Can't you just track her down at her first appointment?
I have to talk to her right now.
Interior Ritz lobby day. Andy paces, unsure what to do. She dials Miranda's number yet again. Finally, Miranda picks up.
Oh, thank God. Where are you?
Excuse me?
I need to talk to you right away.
I don't have time. I'm having breakfast with Irv. You should be busy all day preparing for the James Hole party.
Miranda, you don't understand. It's very important. I have to tell you.
And the phone clicks off. Miranda has hung up.
Flip!
This garners some stares, and she sits down on a chair to think. Her cell phone rings again, and her heart leaps. Miranda. But no, she picks up.
Hey, Mom, listen. I'm at work. It's really crazy over here, and...
We hear the voice of Andy's mother, Hannah.
Before I say anything, don't be too worried. He's fine.
What are you talking about, Mom?
Interior Cincinnati Hospital day. Hannah is in the hospital, sitting beside Richard.
Your father had a heart attack last night. Everything's fine now. They've given him medication, and he's resting comfortably.
Interior Ritz lobby day. Andy clutches the phone.
Oh my gosh. Should I come home?
Interior Cincinnati Hospital day. Hannah looks over at Richard resting.
You know your father. Oh, he would never ask. And he knows how busy you are. So,
Exterior Starbucks day. We see Andy holding back tears.
I just wanted you to know so you could make your own decisions.
Andy stands there a moment, teetering on a precipice. Then she starts to walk quickly. Exterior Paris Street day. Andy dashes through Paris. Interior Hotel Crillon lobby day. Andy runs up to the front desk.
Irv Rabbits?
Interior Hotel Crillon corridor day. Andy runs down a corridor. She paces a second, knowing she's going to get her ass kicked, and then knocks on the door. The door opens. Irv stands there, surprised. We see Miranda behind him, and when she sees Andy, she walks over, turns to Irv.
Excuse us a moment.
Miranda pulls Andy into the hall.
Have you lost your mind?
I have to talk to you.
Whatever it is can wait until later.
Miranda walks into the room, closes the door in Andy's face. Interior Hotel Crillon corridor night. Andy sits in the hallway wondering what to do. And just then Miranda comes out. Andy springs up and follows her. Miranda doesn't say anything, just starts walking. Andy follows.
Is everything, did that go okay? I mean, are you okay?
Miranda just keeps walking.
Did he say anything about, what did he say?
Miranda stops, aggravated.
Now I know you've lost your mind.
I was just wondering, if there's anything I can do?
Yes, there is. Your job.
And Miranda walks away. Andy stands there. Exterior chateau. Establishing. Evening. A gorgeous 17th century castle in the countryside. Guests are arriving. Andy is outside, working with the staff, coordinating arrivals. She excuses herself for a moment. We see her dial her cell phone. Exterior chateau evening. A few seconds later, we see Andy standing outside the chateau on the pond.
Hey, Dad. Mom says you're doing great. I just wanted you to know I'm going to come home and see you just as soon as Paris is over, okay?
She closes her eyes, fighting back emotion.
Thanks. I love you too.
Interior chateau evening. The chateau we saw in the opening with the party is in full swing. Andy is bustling around, checking all the details, the seating, the flowers, making sure the guests are happy. She spots Christian. She raises a glass to her. She looks away. Interior chateau evening. Andy watches Miranda as she greets the guests. So composed, so gracious, Andy marvels. Just then, Nigel clinks his fork on a glass. He's standing at the podium on the dais, getting ready to speak. Miranda walks over, sits down on the dais. Andy follows. Interior chateau later, we pick up on the scene from the opening.
And one of the most elegant women ever to walk the planet, I give you, Miranda Priestley.
We see Andy applauding, smiling, her eyes shining. Miranda steps to the podium, and we hear that short screech of feedback. She covers with a laugh, tries again.
Thank you, everyone. First, I want to congratulate James on his new line, which is nothing short of miraculous.
James smiles at her, raises a glass of champagne.
But before I tell you in great detail about how much I love James Holt, I want to say a few words. Tonight is not just an important night for me, for Runway, and for James, but an important night for someone else in this room.
Her eyes land on Jacqueline Collet. Andy watches. What the hell? She shoots a look at Christian. Can tell from the look on his face he has no idea where this is going. Flashback to Interior Hotel, Crillon Suite Day. Earlier that day, Miranda sits across from Irv.
Miranda, there's something I'd like to discuss with you. And
Miranda takes a piece of paper out of her Hermès portfolio and pushes it towards him.
what is this?
It's a list.
Interior Chateau de Miranda continues.
I have the great privilege of announcing that my comrade Jacqueline Follet, editor-in-chief of the French edition of Runway, will, as of next month, be...
We see Andy's face. Holy shit. Looks at Christian, just as stunned as she is. Interior Hotel Crillon Suite Day. Irv looks at the list.
As you know, I have an open invitation from every other fashion magazine in the world, Vogue, Elle, Harper's, and if for whatever reason I had to leave Runway, these are the designers who have said they'll give me first look at their collections. This is the look of photographers who will book time with me first, and these are the top models who'll do the same.
She smiles.
You know how I feel about Runway. I intend to be there as long as you'll have me. So my intention is never to use this list, but I do have it.
He looks at the list, then up at her. She's composed, cheerful.
Now, you had something you wanted to discuss?
Interior Chateau evening. Miranda continues.
As of next month, Jacqueline Follet will be partnering with James Holt in their new expansion of his business. The brilliant Massimo has chosen her as the new co-president of JH International.
And she indicates Jacqueline, who waves. Everyone applauds. Jacqueline extends her hand to Massimo, who waves. Andy's mouth falls open. She looks over at Nigel. His face betrays nothing. He applauds along with everyone else. And Andy looks to Christian, who is also shocked as hell.
I know Jacqueline will be every bit the comrade to James that she has been to me. Let's all wish her the very best.
A hearty round of applause for Jacqueline. Miranda smiles. Interior Paris Cafe Day. We see Miranda sitting in the corner of a tiny cafe with James Holt, and Massimo. Jacqueline enters, walks over to the table.
Jacqueline, you remember Massimo from LVMH?
Interior chateau, evening. Miranda continues.
And now to the business at hand, a celebration of one of my favorite designers.
She smiles at James. Interior chateau later. Andy watches everyone swirling around Miranda. She walks over to Nigel among the crowd of well-wishers.
You said it was your dream job.
He turns to her, some emotion on his face now.
Given me everything I have, Andy. And when it's time, she'll pay me back.
You're sure about that?
No, but I hope for the best.
And he rejoins the swirl, and Andy sees Christian having a drink, trying to cover. Andy walks over to him.
Don't feel bad, Christian. Most people eventually wash up on the rocky shoals of Miranda Priestley, right?
So I've heard.
He looks at her. Her gaze back is level. So over this guy.
Better luck next time.
Andy?
That's all.
She turns away from him, runs right into Miranda,
I'm ready to go.
and Andy walks away without looking back at Christian. Interior limo, night. Miranda and Andy ride along in the limo on their way back to Paris. Miranda is relaxed, victorious.
You knew what they were planning.
Andy nods.
Christian had to brag about it. So predictable. And you thought I didn't know.
Andy nods again. Miranda laughs.
You think that's the first time I've had to defend myself? There's always someone gunning for this job.
She smiles.
I was impressed, though, how hard you tried to warn me and that whatever you thought was happening, you just kept on doing your job.
She studies Andy.
I never thought I'd say this, but I see a lot of myself in you. Your sharpness, your focus, your ability to see a move or two ahead, and above all, your dedication.
Thank you, Miranda.
I mean, your father was ill, and yet you chose to stay and help me and help Runway. That's very admirable.
Andy looks at her, stunned that she knows.
Nigel told me. It was the right choice, exactly what I would have done when I was your age.
Miranda looks out the window. They are approaching the next party, and the paparazzi are waiting outside as the fabulous people stream into a Paris nightclub.
Not everyone can do that, push their feelings aside.
And now she's speaking as much to herself as to Andy.
And the more powerful you get, the more you'll be judged and scrutinized, always on display. You'll miss things, vacations, sunsets, moments with your family. Some people in your life will never accept your priorities. Not everyone can withstand that pressure, Andy, but now you know that you can.
Andy stares at her, blown away by what Miranda is saying.
And now you know that you can have my life. You can do what I do, because you can sacrifice the things that need to be sacrificed.
But what if I can't do that? I mean, what if that's not what I want?
Miranda looks at her and smiles, and this time, for the first time, her smile was almost maternal.
Don't be silly, Andy. Of course that's what you want. Everyone wants to be me.
And with that, she opens the door to the limo, onto the red carpet where she is instantly embraced by the flashing lights of the cameras. Andy quietly steps out behind Miranda, squinting. She's never gotten used to the lights. Miranda moves down the red carpet. We follow her, and it's not until Miranda is about to open the door that she realizes Andy is no longer beside her. Exterior Champs-Élysées night. We see Andy walking up the Champs-Élysées in the dusty night light, and she has never looked more beautiful. She is serene, and she is free. The wind blows through her hair. She smiles. Suddenly her phone rings. She looks down at it, having forgotten it was in her hand. The name Miranda glows in the dim light. Andy doesn't break stride for a moment as she tosses the ringing phone into the nearest fountain. Interior airplane day. Andy walks past the first class cabin, down the aisle where she squeezes into a coach seat. Exterior street day. We see Andy in her rental car driving past Three Rivers Stadium in Cincinnati. Interior house Cincinnati day. Andy stands at the door to the nice, unhip Midwestern house that she grew up in. The door opens. Richard, her dad. Andy flies into his arms and he holds her, smiling. Exterior airport day. Andy walks out of JFK. Lily is standing outside in her beat-up Honda Civic.
Town car's in the shop.
Shut up.
They smile at each other. Interior coffee shop night. Andy waits nervously. She's wearing jeans and old sweaters. Still, she's different. The hair, the shoes. Suddenly, Nate appears.
Thanks for coming. I thought you might stand me up.
Thought about it.
Nate, from the minute I quit my job, all I've thought about was what I would say to you. I've rehearsed it in my head a million times. How I would apologize for being such a jerk, for getting carried away, thinking that what I was doing is more important than the people I care about. There's no excuse for how I treated you and how I let Miranda and my ambition take me over until I became this pod person. And now that you're here, I feel like saying all that isn't enough. I'm just so sorry.
I know you are.
And I'm really happy for you. Lily told me you got the job in San Francisco.
Yeah. How about that, huh? Can't believe it.
I can.
Beat. They smile at each other, okay with each other, even friends maybe.
So, how about you? What are you doing now?
I'm not sure, but I actually have a job interview today.
Beat.
And that's what you're wearing?
It takes her a while to get this. She bursts into laughter and they both laugh. Interior waiting room day. Andy sits nervously in the waiting room of the New York Observer, the total opposite of the runway offices. Interior office day. Andy sits across from a scruffy guy in his early 40s. You know, our pay is crap.
That's fine.
He looks at her resume. I love your clips. That thing on the janitors union. That's exactly what we do here. She smiles, humble now. My only question is, runway? What the hell kind of blip was that?
I learned a lot. In the end, though, I kind of screwed it up.
Oh, that's not what I hear. Andy looks at him, confused. I got a call over there for a reference. Left word with some snooty type girl. Next thing you know, I get a fax from a Miranda Priestley. Andy blanches, saying that all the assistants she had, you were the far more biggest disappointment. Andy takes a deep breath. But that means you're destined to be a gigantic success. And if they don't hire you, I'm an idiot. Andy's stunned. So you have done something right. Exterior street day. Andy walks out of the job interview, out onto the street, stunned. Exterior street day. Andy walks over to the Elias Clark building, looking at a place that was, in its way, a home to her. Her eyes sweep up the building to the runway offices. Interior runway day. We see Emily back at her desk. The camera widens out so we can see a new second assistant, eager and nervous, in the place Andy used to sit. Exterior street day. Andy looks up, thoughtful, and suddenly she sees Miranda walk out of the building. She stops. She looks at Miranda. Miranda looks over, her eyes meeting Andy a beat. And then Andy nods her head in thanks, in salutation, in farewell. But Miranda does not react. She gets into the car. Andy shakes her head. That's Miranda. She smiles and then turns and starts to walk down the street. Interior car day. Miranda gets in, sits back in her seat, and through her window she can see Andy, a bounce in her step, walking away, and Miranda alone, where no one can see her, finally breaks into a real smile, and then she nods to her driver. Exterior street day. We see Miranda's limo pulling away, and Andy walking down the street, moving in different directions, further and further away as we fade out.
Yay!
Well done, everyone.
Yay.
I just
That was
wanna
a
clap.
successful fashion week.
Appropriate choice.
Is it Fashion Week right now?
Yes.
Did you plan that?
Nope.
Wow, you're way up on this stuff.
You
I
have
never
no
thought,
idea how
Nigel.
much Jacob puts into his fashion.
Yeah.
Have you not been watching all the previous episodes? Look at he's always
I didn't
immaculately
expect
dressed. And his choice of hats too.
That I
one's
didn't.
Snell right there, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's talked about how he scoured thrift stores before reads.
Mm-hmm.
You got like a little flex fit couture.
And you know, with like Los Angeles, there's got to be some quality stuff in the thrift stores, which is
Word.
Forgot I wanted to check one out when I was there.
We can talk more about that and other things after everybody gets to say who they are, what they're doing, where you can find them. So, Vicky Dykes.
Well, I'm Vicky Dykes. As I said before, I'm from Central Alberta and I'm an actress. And you can find me on Facebook under the name Vicky Dykes, and you can find me on Instagram. I'm YogaGramma7. And right now, I'm in the middle of getting things set up on social media a little better, and getting some pictures done. And I'm going to be getting a TV show going soon. So yeah, that's what I'm up to.
That's awesome. The devil herself, Petra Stedman.
Greetings. So Petra Stedman, writer primarily, actress occasionally, and
Encyclopedia sometimes.
so findable on Twitter at Petra Stedman. Recently got an Instagram, Petrapedia42. Have nothing on there still. I'm still figuring out. I'm still learning the gram. So give me a moment to go easy on me. But yeah, if anybody needs a girl with a, I don't know, resting bitch self, I guess, feel free to call.
Petra, you always make me laugh. I'm glad you exist.
Thank you.
And with that note, Heather Lee Cameron, we're glad you exist. Tell us about you.
Hi.
You.
My name is Heather Lee Cameron. I'm a writer, I'm an actor, I'm a creative freelancer, and I'm a family history research student. And you can find me on YouTube under the Storm and Latter-day Saint. All the links to my different profiles are on there. And you can also find bits of my work on Facebook, Heather Lee Freelancer. You can also find my social medias everywhere. I don't have anything going right now except for some online school, but I'm also capable of doing work online, like voice work. I have a little setup. I have a Blue Yeti Nano, and I'm capable of making my own clips on Audacity. So if you need some good voice work or some good video work, please let me know. I can film myself remotely. And that's how I actually did a bit of a fan film during the pandemic. So if you need something done, please get in touch with me at heather.lee.cameron@gmail.com.
Sweet. Thank you. And Angel Peterson.
Hi. I'm Angel Peterson. I never know what to say on this. You can find me here. and wherever I am.
And Jacob Patrick, it's your turn.
You can also find me here. Like, subscribe, follow, do the notification. Come back every week to see all these people and other great actors reading amazing scripts. And we're not going to forget Clint, just snazzy Monroe.
What's up, guys? How's it going? My name is Clint Monroe. You can find me at Clint Monroe. Clint _Monroe on Instagram, or Clint Monroe on Facebook. And what am I up to now? You know, I am just stepping back and doing the work, you know. So I've been going internally and also just creating every day something, writing, playing music, coming up with ideas, shot listing, studying, and just having a ball. I think I'm at this cusp of an internal renaissance, and the world is starting to open up, and I'm starting to see things in a much different way. So I'm just gonna chill with that for a little bit, see where it takes me.
Nice.
And
if
I'll
you-
probably be wearing these shoes
baby.
next week on Table Read Tuesdays.
Nice. We're gonna have to
You'd
get
be
like a
amazed.
wide shot.
Yeah,
No.
you'd be amazed what those things can do to my ass.
TMI, Clint, TMI.
Well, I'll meet you in
Yeah.
Vegas sometime, Clint. We can go out to dinner at a Gordon Ramsay restaurant and talk about it.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Mhm.
I don't know if he'll caught me though. I think he might be scared.
Clint, if you put any of that music or creative things or the shot list stuff you do and you put it out there. Oh yeah, you already said where to find you. _.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay, I missed that for a second. Forgot.
no worries.
Sweet. And that's all of us for this time. And we're going to talk a little bit about the movie and the script for those who can stick around.
Oh goodness, it's such a good movie. It's such a funny movie.
I liked it a lot too. I mean, I only saw it years ago, and that's from my memory of liking it. What about everyone else? What do you guys think? Everyone has seen it before, and who's not seen it?
Yes, I've seen it.
I think everybody's seen it.
You don't get to make fun of me this time.
As you guys saw
We
earlier,
never
I
make
was like,
fun of
watching
you. We
it.
just question your life choices. There's a difference, darling.
Yeah.
My life choices are I've been in the freelancing industry since I was 17 years old with one article published when I was just 6. So there you go.
Sweet.
So I'm very ambitious.
Yeah.
Worked for peanuts, but I'm still very ambitious.
Like shelled peanuts or non-shelled peanuts?
Are they salted,
Peanuts.
roasted?
Yeah, like honey roasted, or like, I mean, how bougie are we getting with these peanuts?
They come in little individually packed bags.
Like the can
Like
of
the bulk?
peanuts.
Is it
Okay.
like the Nutter Butters peanut kind of?
The can of peanuts that are inexpensive.
All right.
But were they just peanuts or were they mixed nuts?
I
We can go
clearly
on like
missed some of
this
this conversation because I was looking for my phone.
Uh,
Something
yeah, it
about
was
nuts.
interesting, like reading the script. I mean, I only watched a little bit. It was actually interesting that how that kind of played out, you know, because I watched, I would say maybe less than half of it today.
Really?
And so there was like part that I had seen and could kind of juxtapose the script versus what was on screen. And then the second part, I just was going into blindly. And today I decided not to take notes and to just sit back and let the words kind of wash over me and just see how it was done. And it was really interesting. I feel like this is probably a pretty early edition, even though we saw that
Not really.
the lady done that, because it seemed like they gutted a lot of dialogue in there.
Yeah.
Like
And
there were a
compared to
lot
the-
of like I guess like friendly endings in a lot of the sequences, right? To make it more like personal. And they gutted that to make them more poignant, like the little dialogue jousts, which I thought was really interesting. But I loved what she did with the action descriptions. That was savage. I like how she talks a lot about, you know, what's going on in her mind, how it's like using the action descriptions as a narrator of sorts, or like to show the thought process of what's going on in their head. That was super cool, right? That's kind of one of the things that people talk about, the difference between, you know, writing novels versus writing scripts. And I think she bridged a gap there that was really good. And then that kiss scene, just seeing that written, dude, like easy, probably one of the best romantic. I just reading that, it gets you so invoked. Like I'm sure that's going to be stole multiple times, where it's like another kiss, and then she like says some objections, another kiss, some more objections, another kiss. Like I mean, that is just any, like the steamiest rom-com of all time right there. That was really, really well played. I enjoyed that, you know, for sure.
I wish they would have played more of the Paris scenes instead of just showing like a little clip of them riding in the limo, and then Andy suddenly realized, after Miranda having the conversation, Andy suddenly realizing this isn't who I want to be, tossing the phone in the fountain and then just leaving. I wish they would have played more of Paris out. It would have been more
interesting. The next script that we're reading is in Swahili, and apparently Petra speaks not only fluent French but Swahili as well.
I do not.
Yeah, but why was my comment? Why was my comment just glossed over?
First of all, I only speak like 3 words of Kiswahili Bantu. That's not the same thing.
But anyway, yeah, I wish they would have just, you know, touched a little more on the Paris, because it would have been interesting to see Andy getting used to the more international fashion world. It would have been an interesting character study.
Well, I do think, okay, she does, we see more in this version of the script than we see in like the new one, but I will also say that like some of the stuff that it's kind of like a microcosm. They're shrinking down to what they consider important. It's almost like distillation. You don't need everything. You don't need to see every little ingredient or piece that goes into it. So we didn't need to see that she is like reacting to her room and Miranda is barely reacting to anything. We didn't need to see the part on the plane. It's a good juxtaposition between the person who's been doing this for so long and the person who hasn't. But I mean, they literally get there and that's it. And then it's like they check into the hotel, they go to a variety of fashion shows and parties and stuff like that. She's making her way through, and Andy's experiencing this through the lens of being Miranda's assistant. She doesn't get to, Nigel makes a comment when he's explaining the new job to her. He's like, oh my God, to actually be able to come to Paris and see Paris. It's like, you don't when you do a job that has you traveling all the time. You half the time, if you have a job like that, you don't pay attention to anything other than the what airport did I land in and what hotel am I sleeping in and what conference room do I have to get to. You're there for work, and therefore you're there for work. You don't really have the opportunity to do a lot of other things, which I think kind of stinks sometimes. But I don't know, the original, version of the script versus what we ended up getting, I think works.
I just also wish they would have shown like the actual scene with the divorce papers, because they do show the marital tension in the movie, but I wish they would have shown the divorce paper serving as well.
Well, or maybe more the aftermath. She only mentions the divorce. She doesn't show the papers. We don't see her getting served. We see her reaction to it in the movie, though. You see the fact that this is kind of like hitting her hard. This is the first time Andy's seen her anything less than put together, and she, it shocks her when she walks in. It shocks the audience. We don't even see her right away, and then it pans up and she's in pajamas. She has no makeup on. Her hair is barely done. She's wearing glasses, and you're like, oh my God, she's human. It's terrifying for a moment. But it's like she reacts. She has that moment of humanity, and then she instantly pulls it back together. So, it's not that a little bit more would have necessarily been too much, but I think, again, it's kind of like that distilling down to what's necessary. We didn't have to see her getting served. We see the aftermath. We don't have to see a full breakdown. We see like that moment of, oh my girls, where she gets emotional for a second, because the one thing that she cares about besides the magazine is her children. She doesn't, she loves the men that she's with, but overall, they kind of come and go. Her kids obviously would have been something that would have been, you know, a thing for her.
And a thing I noticed, like the opening scene in this script and an opening scene in the movie is like the opening scene in the movie is like Andy going around New York, handing out the resumes, time passes, and then the opening scene in this is like in Paris. So there's a difference there.
Yeah, it's kind of not mise en place. It's in medias, and
It's what?
which I thought was kind of cool. Oh, I started to say mise en place, which is preparation in place in French.
Oh.
But what I meant to say was in medias, which is where you start the story in the middle. I actually do think that they did a good job showing that she's going straight to the interview at the beginning, because they're juxtaposing her with all the other runway girls getting dressed and ready, and like they're all, you know, she picks white cotton underwear and they're like picking, you know, $100 lingerie, and they're like eating like, you know, a handful of almonds, or, you know, like a very designated amount of whatever. They're weighing their breakfast, and she gets like a toasted onion bagel with cream cheese on it. It's like, good, she's human, that's great. It's gonna eat her alive, but go for it. And it's that good juxtaposition. This is a girl who does not care what she wears. This girl who doesn't spend $6,000 at Sephora.
Well, it also shows the reality of the modeling industry, because that's really the reality of the modeling industry. They measure what they eat. They weigh what they eat. They struggle with eating issues in the modeling industry, because you have to look a certain way, you have to move a certain way. It's getting better though. Like they're actually focusing on more positive body image now in the modeling industry, from what I've read about it.
Right, but I mean, the same could be said as far as like the toxic, unrealistic pressure and, you know, standards and everything that people are held to. That's almost true of any major corporation, especially one that's like globally dominating. You have stuff like fashion and business and finance and stuff like that, and even law. People are, you know, put under intense amounts of pressure and scrutiny, and you have this standard and this mold, and if you don't fit that and you can't reach those goals and overcome or cut everybody else down until you stand on their dead bodies to get over it.
I think it's like that in every industry. You have to work very hard. You have to work to very tight deadlines. I do know this. I worked in journalism for a very long time and lost my job due to COVID. I understand that intensity, and I worked with it for a very long time. And I hope we're not talking
just for clearance, right? There's like that one scene, I think it was with Christian, where she's like, if that guy was a man, you would call him strong. I would stand here right now and say, no, I'd call that guy a fucking asshole. Sorry, but it's true, man. There's evil men out there too. It doesn't mean that they're strong and powerful. It means they're just need to be chopped off, you know? You need to get rid of them.
And it's an extraordinarily male-dominated world in society. It's an extraordinarily male-dominated world in society. Stuff that is considered. I love that there are so many movies and television shows and stuff like that highlight this. You have movies like Doubt. You have the priests and the cardinals and stuff like that eating this lavish meal with, like, you know, super nice stuff, and then you have all the sisters and they're eating, you know, cheaper food on, you know, a crappier table, and it's very simple, and it's like, this is their life versus their life because they're men and these are women. And you have the same thing with, like, you could be a fat, sloppy, disgusting, you know, male who couldn't care less about anything to do with the world that you were in, but you knew what sold, or you were able to convince people that they should listen to you, and you had control and power over women and people who knew better than you because you happen to be the one with the checkbook or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like The Associate. Have you ever seen that with Whoopi Goldberg? She literally was striving to get a promotion, and she had to invent a male assistant or a partner because they wouldn't listen to her because she was a woman. So she literally invented a male partner and disguised herself as them, and then pretended to kill him. Just
not only
dominating her life.
Seen it, but it's like, no, it's, and not only that, she's a smart young woman of color because it's played by Whoopi Goldberg, but then she has to invent a white male
because that's what it is. That's what the dominating force in the business world is at the time.
That's kind of what the world is now, no offense. I mean, it's getting better. I'm not saying that it's not, but it's like, this has been the shape and color of the world for a great number of years. You have women in power on occasion, And the minute that they do anything unusual or too far out of the line, they either have to make themselves into these paradigms
Miranda
of
Priestley's.
I'm sorry?
They have to make themselves into Miranda Priestley.
Right. And the
Be
thing
taken
is,
seriously.
yeah, but the thing is, even she's not, yes, everybody wants to be her and everybody wants to work for her and, you know, listens to what she has to say, but you have, you know, the younger, hungrier, hipper, fresher crowd who's coming up who can do it cheaper and faster. And then you have every single guy who's looking for the moment there's anything to do with, oh, she's a woman, she's too emotional, we have to take that away from you. I'm sorry, I know you built this, but I'm sorry, it's better in our hands. We have to take this over from you. And it's like they're looking for any excuse to pounce. She can never show weakness. The moment she shows anything, it's why she's terrible. She basically gaslights people. If you consider some of the stuff that she says, she looks down at her steak and she says, I ordered that hours ago. You ordered it maybe 20 minutes ago, an hour at most, and you gave an unrealistic deadline for it to be done, along with the 7 other impossible things that you request, oh Queen of Hearts. But it's weird.
Yeah.
But again, Andy gets to the point where she's defending her because she's like, if Miranda was a man, everybody would think that she was brilliant and wouldn't care about her methods. And that is a terrifying concept while being very
well,
true.
Miranda is of the belief that if she dares show emotion or dares show any vulnerability, people will exploit it and take advantage of it and use that to destroy her. So she acts the way she does to protect herself.
Which is what I just said, but yeah.
Yes, I understand you just said it. I was supporting you.
Okay. But yeah, no, it's kind of the state of things, but I don't know. This one's actually kind of interesting because this is a sort of mid version of, you had a book supposedly based on real life. It's basically a romanaclef. And I mean, Miranda Priestley basically is Anna Wintour. She's been the editor-in-chief of Vogue for so long. Her nickname is Nuclear Winter, which I always found very funny. And I mean, the woman was the voice, the face, the name in fashion for decades. She still kind of is around. And like, I mean, you almost had to, they were like looking down the barrel of a lawsuit if this had gone a little bit too close to the bone, because a lot of the stuff in this is not a flattering depiction. Yeah, she's amazing. She's brilliant and she's, you know, hard. And I mean, she's like a diamond, you know, she was forged under pressure and she's been cut to show the best possible facet. And she has sharp lethality, but she is ultimately beautiful and very cold and hard. And I think that's probably a really good, you know, example of her. She's also very high quality, which I think is kind of cool too. But yeah, it's, I mean, she's expensive and she's something that not a lot of people get. And this is, when you look at like the book versus this version of the script versus the shooting script, which we almost read, versus the movie, I like some of the differences that have been made as we go through. And I think some of them, I think they maybe could have kept. Like Miranda's backstory in the novel is truly fascinating. She was literally like, I mean, yeah, in this one they mentioned that she's from, you know, that town that like right is on the border of like, you know, New York, but Pearl River. But in the book, she's from a poor Jewish family, and she literally went and she fought and trained and kind of embellished her resume a little bit. She got an internship or apprenticeship with a fashion house in London, and then she started learning French so that she could, you know, get past her roots. And so she actually went from London to Paris, back to New York. So she kind of did it in reverse, what, you know, they try and do in the movie. And I mean, it's just, she became Miranda Priestley. She changed her name. She became the thing that she wanted to be. She designed herself, which I think is actually really cool. And it's not something that a lot of people can do. But if you're, I don't know, in that case, it's like if you're willing to reinvent yourself, which occasionally is what something like the, you know, the beauty industry or the fashion industry, really any industry, is about, is finding that thing that makes you unique and building it up until it works for you. So
what did the rest of you think?
Please.
What did the rest of you think?
Yes, please. Somebody else talk.
I don't know now. I had some thoughts in there, but
I'm sorry.
it's all good. Thank you, Heather. Different, like you guys mentioned, the different things from the scripts and the movies, like the beginning is different. And like even like on, I think both of the scripts they had her like going to the office trying to get the jobs, and then that's like kind of you were saying Heather, they cut some stuff out from
Yeah, like I
Paris.
remember because
They
I
cut
just
that stuff
watched
out as
this
well.
afternoon.
Like things
I
always get cut
remember-
out.
I remember like Andy got as far as like the bottom floor of the building, and then all of a sudden Emily's motioning for her to come back, and so she can show her the job.
Well, in the script, even before that, she went to the wrong building. She went to the wrong thing. And she had to
Right.
push back. But one thing I want to bring up, what Clint said before we started, is how great of an introduction of a character, of an opening this is of Miranda. Like, not even seeing her yet, but seeing everybody's reaction to her. And
You know what it reminds me of? Have you ever seen Big Business from 1988?
Yes.
Yes, it's an absolute parallel to Sadie Shelton's introduction in Big Business in the 40 years later when they show the Moramax building in the second part of the film. Because everybody's intimidated by Sadie Shelton, and it's an absolute classic.
I saw it, but I forget the details.
I won't spoil it for you.
I don't have a mind like Petra.
It's Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin as twins.
Yes,
sisters.
they end up.
But there's two versions of them.
Yes, they end at birth. They are mismatched as babies, and they grow up. One set of mismatched twins grows up in New York, and one set grows up in the country, and they meet 40 years later as adults, and all sorts of interesting things happens to them within the Plaza Hotel and within New York City.
One other, this is like a totally different character intro. It's from Nobody with Bob Odenkirk, which Bob Odenkirk is a legend from the day that he started till now. I mean, everything he's done has been gold, and everything his brother's done's been gold too. If you guys don't know, he's been with The Simpsons since I believe the beginning. Yeah, the Odenkirk family, like props to him. But like the main villain, it was like really interesting how they used the Oneer to develop this, because it's like you're stuck to him. It's the only thing you see, and then it's like you carry with him, so you're naturally stuck to him. And then there's, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but he does something that's pretty, I wouldn't say pretty gnarly, but to keep it, you know, as PC as I can be, it's horrific. But after that, I think it's like a 30-second, 40-second piece of the movie. Like after that, you're like, damn, who's that guy? You know what I mean? And it's like one of those ways to, and this is something that happens in the middle of the movie, to where it's just like, boom, that's your character, that's the antagonist, that's what you're up against in like 30 seconds of a hour and a half film. You know, it's a pretty impressive way to develop a character for sure.
Vicky, you saw the movie?
I only saw the first 10 pages that you posted.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was like, hey, this is new.
So what'd you
I
think?
had always intended on watching this movie, so I still have to, so I can see the differences and.
Oh, you'll enjoy it.
Well.
So.
Better.
I have one tiny piece of trivia, and then I'm going to start talking. It's one of the things that I find funny.
Bring it. Let's get
it. No, so Simon Baker, who plays Christian in the movie, the first time you see him at the party, he's wearing a blazer at James Holtz's party when he meets Andy for the first time. He actually designed that blazer. I love that piece of trivia. He designed it himself. I'm like, that's actually cool. And then he found somebody to make it. I'm like, oh. And he got to wear it in the movie, which is even cooler. So.
That's pretty cool. Sweet.
It is very cool. Thank you.
I think I designed like a sketch on my notebook one time, like a doodle. Not even like anything to do with clothes. I don't even. I'll just call it abstract art as well.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
It was like Doodle Bob.
Yeah, it's when your teacher goes off on the same thing and like tries to reteach it again, and you're like, all right, it's doodle time. Right?
He's going to be wearing that next week with his heels.
Except if I was in a class with Yoga Grandma 7, because she is strict.
Yes.
Swat you right on the hand.
Are you, Vicky? Are you strict?
Dude, that's
Where
sick.
are those doodles?
Yeah, Clem was just talking about doodle time. So
Did you just do that while we were reading the script?
no, not this time. No, but I did always do it throughout school, throughout like church meetings, at work
You just like
meetings.
hold up a Monet or something. Like, yeah, I just did this, while we were while we were reading the script. No biggie. And I'm on the phone with China too on a business call at the same time. Oh,
So you got two hands.
yeah.
Well, this was a fun read.
It
Yeah, it
was.
was. You guys did great. That was awesome. Anything else you guys noticed about the script or story, or
We'd
something
love to hear
story
what
about
you
the
noticed
characters?
about the script because, I'm sure all three of you, we've done a lot of talking, so we'd love to hear more of the three of you.
I think I said most of what I wanted. Oh, her smile is almost maternal. That was a badass line. A badass line. I cannot express that enough because she's cold and emotionless like the whole time. And then, I mean, it's like, you know what that means? That means she like saw herself. She wants to like, bring this person up. That was badass. On the nose.
Well, it just makes me, I felt a little bad for Andy when all her friends were making fun of this person they supposedly called their friend and trying to steal the phone and just mocking her.
Oh, that's
Mocking her desire to do her best and just I wish that her friends would have been more supportive.
Yeah. So that was an interesting point. Petra brought that up, and I did want to talk about that. And for those of you who are just watching, there's like a whole conversation that goes on the inside. And if you want to see the inside of that conversation, then come on in and be a voice actor, right? But I thought that was, I mean, when I watched it, Petra and I were talking about it. I thought it was like actually really interesting when I really sat back and thought about it, because there are so many times in life when like you leave and maybe you like something, maybe you dislike something, and you're hanging out with people and they kind of accept where you are with that, right? And then you leave and something changes and you come back with a different frame of mind, and people are still operating under the assumption that things are the same, but they've changed. And I thought that was really interesting. It's something that I want to experiment and play around with a little bit more, because the way that I perceived that whole event was, up until that time, she had been talking about how she hated the fashion industry, how all these people were a joke, how this was stupid. Who is this Miranda girl? She's totally crazy. So everybody was just kind of like playing in that same thing of like, oh, she's got this stupid job that she hates. Oh, this girl's, super vain, blah, 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 blah. But at that moment, we've all experienced this transition where she no longer feels that way, and she does feel passionate about her job. And so there's this conflict where she then separates from her old self and becomes her new self before she then like revamps and goes back to her original self, just more empowered, So,
and something I did like in the script versus like how even in the movie, how it plays out in the movie, she does emphasize more that she sees the benefit in doing a good job and really committing and trying and making an effort at her job and not just struggling all the time and complaining about how bad it is. And it's like, I think even with that furthering context, it makes even almost less sense that her friends, who have just received thousands of dollars worth of friggin' swag, by the way, that's one of the things that always bothers me. It's like, they're still not willing to take her at her word that like, okay, yeah, you're joking with her about drinking the Kool-Aid, but listen to what she's saying. She's saying she sees the point of doing a good job of respecting the person she's working for, if not necessarily the industry in which she's stuck, and making the best of the situation to further her career later. And they still immediately put that in serious jeopardy by messing with her phone. It's like, the last 90 seconds of anything that came out of her mouth or out of her hands into yours means nothing to you. And that bothers me severely.
I think that's why that whole scene works so well, because it's like you want her to succeed, and then these people become this obstacle. And so naturally you're drawn in like, why are you guys doing that? So I you know, yeah, it's
That's the
interesting.
purpose for other characters in a screenplay, is to question the motivation, question the direction, challenge the main characters as they go to the goal, so it can be discussed, so it can be the feeling. So they, yeah.
Preach, preach, my man over here. Yeah, some of the dialogue, and like I said, there's a reason why I think that this might be like an earlier draft, and there was a decent amount of revisions to the dialogue. But I like when she finally makes up her mind, lands way better in the movie. It's totally different. The dialogue is completely different. In the script, this what's his name, Nigel, is very like kind of buddy guy towards her, you know what I mean? And in the movie, he's a lot more catty, and it works really well because she's kind of got this pompous attitude, like I'm better than these people, and he's like, you have no idea the influence that has walked through the. And so I thought that worked really well, and I think it feels a little bit more natural to have some kind of a strong opinion. It's not like somebody's going to say like, well, maybe you should think differently. It's kind of like, you're wrong, and let me show you how wrong you are, to make you be like, oh damn, okay, I need to think differently, maybe, you know. So that was really interesting. And then I think there was another one with Miranda, right, again at the very beginning when she stands there. In the movie, it's about the two belts, and I think that flowed like a little bit more natural than this one did in the script. I can't remember exactly how they worded it in the script, but it almost seemed like it was a little bit forced, this confrontation, to like draw out the response that they wanted. And like, I totally get that. I've done that in my own writing too, in this novella that I just wrote. Like I knew where I wanted the scene to go because I had all this stuff that I wanted to have happen that was central to the story that I wanted to tell. But getting there caused this huge lack of character motivation, and like it just didn't really seem like it was something that person would naturally want to do. And so it's a matter of like getting in there and trying to tease out how you could get a person to act in that particular manner. And so I think they did a really great job of taking the baseline of what they wanted this scene to look like and translate that into something that was, I think, a much more powerful scene on screen.
Oh yeah. I think the Sterling scene is it's one of the best in the movie. I think the speech is one of the best. And yes, I'm putting it up there against some of the greats, but I mean, I really think it's one of the better speeches in cinema. And there is one line, and it's so quick, and I love that it's very telling of Miranda's nature. Like it gives a hint of her true self when she is talking about Andy's sweater. She's like, it filtered down, you know, through the boutiques and the extents and everything like that to some tragic bargain bin. She doesn't say trashy. She doesn't say anything else that like gets on somebody for being poor. She says tragic, as though she considers people, she understands that not everybody has access to this world that she inhabits, and not everybody, the people that don't care, she doesn't care about, but the people who could want this, who would necessarily, you know, want this or benefit from like a piece of clothing that gives you the confidence to move through your day. The speech that she gives to James is very in the script. I kind of wish a version of that had continued to this. But the speech that she says, it's like, you know, you're there with a woman on the most important days of her life. You were there when she goes for her first job, or, you know, her wedding or something like that. It's like, when you put on something that gives you confidence, it can be anything. It can be a pair of shoes. It can be that pair of pants that just makes your butt look amazing. It can be a hat that you feel just really sets off the shape of your face, whatever it is. There's something about fashion in general, but specifically that one thing, whatever it is, that gives you confidence in yourself, in the way that you look. It instantly changes, even just a little bit, something about you. You stand up a little straighter, you project a little bit more, your chin stays parallel to the floor because you don't feel the need to look down. It's something that is iconic. And I think in that moment, she reveals not only her own backstory, but her understanding that not everybody gets access to that. And she considers that a tragedy. She doesn't get mad at poor people because they can't afford it. She thinks it's sad that they don't have access to the stuff that she does. I'm like, I found that it's one line it's one word actually in a line in a great speech. And
yeah, and like
just,
too, like I totally agree with you. And it's like, it's also like shows her like why she does what she does and like how passionate she is and why why later she's like, you're gonna make it because you want to sacrifice everything. Like she's sacrificing everything, the things that are most important in her life, to be successful at something that she's so passionate about, because she believes what she just said, that manifesto, you know, which is just good writing.
It is. And one thing, only because Angel's not here, she and I were talking about the line in the original script is everyone wants to be me. And the line in the movie, which Meryl suggested the change to, is everyone wants to be us. And it's such a small change. It's literally one word of difference. And it makes this world of difference in the presentation. To say, Angel made a very good point. She said, everybody wants to be me is incredibly self-centered. It's almost stomach turning, like how full of herself that makes Miranda sound. And it's not that she's wrong. I mean, the job that a million girls would kill for is not just the assistant to her, it's to be her.
It's interesting too when you say that one line, because it's like, if she was to say everybody wants to be me, that it's like crazy how that statement in and of itself, as small as it is, could pretty much change the ending, right? Like there wouldn't be that kind of reconciliation at that point because that statement is so self-centered, right? It's like you almost, by hearing that, want to see her go down.
It almost derails like this. It would be stumbling at the last stretch of a character arc that they've been slowly building. You see her to this point, and you've already seen the little break in humanity. You've seen her get upset. You've seen her show that she cares about things and people. And it's just, yeah, she values other things more. But in that one, it's that one moment, and she's like, she recognizes that Andy and her are very similar. I think in some ways that mention of the maternal smile is very accurate. This is effectively like a younger version of herself. What would you tell someone? What would you tell a younger version of yourself if you recognized them on the street? If you saw them and had the ability to nurture them, would you tell them to run as far as they could from the decisions that you made? Would you tell them to do something different? Would you give them advice? Or, you know, would you let them learn the way that you did? It's a good kind of, I guess, philosophical discussion for another time. But I really did like that change. It's so minor, and yet it's so impactful. And I think whenever possible, you should strive to have something like that in whatever you're writing or doing. Change a word if you think you can get away with it, if you think something else would work better. And it's so simple, but it's so effective. It's just, yeah.
And another thing I feel like it does incorporate Andy into that conversation. It's just not her. Now it's both of them. And not only does Miranda see Andy and her, but that brings Andy to like, this is who I am becoming. This is what I will become with these decisions I make. So for her to see herself in that, for her to make her decision at that point. Boom, boom, boom. That's all. Sorry, mine was short. I stopped.
Sick. Really good writing. Flowed really smooth. Super short action descriptions. Like I said, I loved how they used almost like a narration style, or like getting into her head in the action descriptions. Bang up job. Yeah.
Does anybody know, does the screenwriter have a background in like novels and standard literature or fiction? Because she does have that the stuff that she describes things in a way where you're like, this is very much like you're reading a book or getting inside the character's head, or you know, having that glimpse of like what's driving their actions, their emotions, how you would describe.
I'm not sure.
I know she's written a ton of movies, and she's always on script notes. If you guys want screenwriting podcast, script notes is a good one.
Yeah, I just was doing some little research and stuff, and she wrote Cruella, which came out. So it's the same screenwriter.
Fantastic.
27 Dresses, Morning Glory, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Let's see.
Okay.
Vicky Dykes actually played the lead in that. I love you so much, Vicky. You're the coolest girl.
Well, did she play the lead or did she play the main character? Those are two different
Hey,
things.
to answer your question, Petra.
Good.
Answer your question, Petra. After graduating, McKenna moved to New York City to seek a job in publishing, where she did
Okay.
freelance writing work. So
There you go.
Mhm.
Okay. So she came at it from a couple different angles. That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I don't feel so bad about some of the stuff that's in my script now. I'm very much taking like short story and like adapting it over to, okay,
Well,
change this into an action, change this into dialogue, change, take the stuff out of her head and have her show it. So I do, that's actually really cool.
well, I think we talked about this. Do you remember the backstory of the guy who wrote The Godfather?
Yes, Mario Puzo.
Yeah, how he wrote a novel first, and he ran a so he needed more money, so he's like, okay, I'm going to do the screenplay of it. Never did a screenplay before, and so he just did it his way from his background in like novel writing, and then he goes to look at another book and I'm going to figure out how to actually write screenplays. And it says, hey, you want to know how to write screenplays? Read The Godfather, and he's like, oh.
Yes.
So yes, coming from that background is good. Or like, what's her name who wrote Juno? Like that was one of her
Diablo
first, yeah, that was one of her first scripts, but she had a background in blog writing, other writing, so she's tested that muscle and that ability.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And William Goldman, when we did The Princess Bride, he had written the novel and then adapted the screenplay, which can we just make it not necessarily mandatory, but I think they should at least be asked, if the writer of your source material is alive, you get them for at least a script supervisor. If they don't want to write it, that's fine. If they don't want to adapt it, that's okay. But they will be there to hold the book or the source material and smack the writers with it occasionally and go, no, this is what that means. No, fix it. Just, oh, that's not a real thing, but I do kind of feel it should be. It's like, just at least have them be involved in the script adaptation process, unless you are taking it and running in a wildly different direction. And if you're doing that, I don't know, do what they did with like the Blade Runner script and just say that it was inspired by. Do not.
Which
do not say that
it's curious that you bring that up. Android's Dream of Electric Sheep. Android's Dream of Electric Sheep was written by what's
Philip
his name?
K. Dick.
Huh?
Philip K. Dick.
Yes, that's right. Philip K. Dick. Didn't he die at like 28 after like setting the world on fire? He died really, really young.
He died. Yeah, I don't know if he was 28. He was young when he died, but I find it hilarious that like he basically came up with. He was extraordinarily naive for the things that he came up with, and it's like I think most of the adaptions that have come from his work, like you have, like Blade Runner and Minority Report and stuff like that. It's almost like people like playing in the worlds he creates more than they like playing by his rules and the stories that he comes up with, or they're like taking that and running off in a new direction with it, which I think is probably a good thing. But
except
it's like
his worked.
Yeah,
like what you were saying, other people do that from books, but then they ruin it, or video games, and they use the same name, but it's like doesn't go with it and annoys the whole fans and audiences.
No, he did have some really great ideas, but I do think, at least in some cases, he was just a little too naive about certain things. Like, I'm just gonna say, Pris in the original novel was not a pleasure bot, and it's like, sir, I realize, one, you were dealing with a lot of issues, and two, you had a very idealized idea of what humanity was supposed to be, but I don't think you thought about this very well. We're a little bit of a gross species, no offense.
But again, that's like the thing about different writers have their different viewpoint on their world, different viewpoint on humanity, and that's why it's good. There's different people who do the different approaches and to put their theme out there and challenge that. So like your version or the one that came out will be different than his.
That's the thing that's so interesting about philosophy, right? Is like if you read the works that have stayed around for hundreds and or thousands of years, not hundreds of thousands, because I don't think cavemen were philosophizing, but I don't know, man. Some of those hieroglyphics, if they translate them, I bet they'll be like, just be happy, right? The Lord is your shepherd. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, no, it's interesting because two philosophers can have diametrically opposing ideas of society, but through their logistic or their arguments, like you can see how that applies to society, because I mean, human society is just so infinitely complex. There's so many different iterations of what humanity is, that's why storytelling is so banging,
Totally. Going back, Philip K. Dick was 53 when he died.
Oh, what? I read somewhere something totally different. Okay, 53. All right.
Yeah.
Still
he wrote
too young.
44 novels and 120 short stories, most of which appeared in some form of print, either in magazine or publication by the time before he died. So
yeah, like Isaac Asimov. What was he, like 500 books?
Something like he's very prolific. He's up there.
So all of us, let's finish our scripts. Let's write the book. Produce some stuff. Let's get it out there. Make the adjustments we have to do to make it happen.
I'm working on it. I've got like 6 or 7 novel manuscripts and a bunch of scripts.
Sweet.
All right, good job. Now I got to finish.
I still think the first script that I wrote was the funniest one of all time. I don't know if it could be made because it is not PC, but it is hilarious. I will say that I died laughing as I wrote it.
And that's another thing we talk about, like what's it called? What's that Mel Brooks movie? I mean, there's also airplane stuff, but the one Blazing Saddles, Airplane. There's a bunch of funny movies that are definitely not PC. So it's like,
well, it's
but there's also like, I mean, you could get away with a lot of stuff in the 80s, right? Like, yeah. I mean, you could probably do cocaine on a bar. I mean, you could probably do it now too, but I mean, like, it was just way more commonplace there, Ric Flair, dude, come on now, like live on national television. Woo! It just, society's not like that anymore. You know what I mean?
No. And I mean, there's something to be said for that being a good thing, but also there are several movies that if they hadn't been made at the time they were made, they probably wouldn't be made today. Yeah. I mean, you can't really have a Blazing Saddles nowadays, with the exception of
Sacha Baron Cohen, man. I mean, like, anybody who went to college around the time that I went to college knows Borat and Ali G, and everybody loved that. And there was an interview where they asked him, like, how come you haven't come up with something for such a long time? This is way before the...
You realize he was just in a thing this decade, right? He was in a miniseries called The Spy.
Yeah, and then he did the Borat movies again. They just came out, but there was a long spell where he didn't do anything, and it took him a lot of time trying to figure out, like, how is his brand of humor going to be revamped to not offend as much, or to like have some place where it could land, because he was very upfront and on the nose with pretty much everybody back in the day, and it's just society changes and you got to kind of adapt, and especially when you're doing super edgy stuff. Props to The Simpsons and South Park and Family Guy for staying on the cutting edge, of how society's changed, and navigating and adapting while kind of keeping that same thing going.
Oh, do you have to go soon, Jacob?
Yes, that's the private conversation we don't have to say out loud. But yeah.
You have noticed she pretty much always quotes out of the DMs. It's like, girl, please.
I didn't see if it was.
There's a reason we write it instead of say it, but yeah.
I actually have to jump off. I got to hop onto a phone call. And to be honest, that sounds way cooler that I'm wearing a blazer and this shirt than it usually would. By the way, this shirt is nothing special. It's like little like skeleton astronauts inside.
That makes it extra special. That sounds extra special.
Yeah. There's definitely like.
I think I like that more than any name brand. I don't care about the name brand, but that's cool.
Yeah. I probably even Andy in her fashion naivety would still look at me like, Jesus, man.
You know what? After some of the looks that girl pulled off in the movie, she has no room to talk, okay?
Yeah. Although I will say, in watching the movie, I was much more impressed with the fashion of Clueless. That was like, I mean, they put a lot of time and effort into that. I remember reading that script a long time ago. The use of vernacular, that still reigns supreme in that script. How she's been able to not only study all of, slang terms and put those in there, but how many have not only stuck around and survived that are still relevant when you watch that movie today, but also like how she created her own, vernacular in that movie.
Like totally,
dude. Right. Anyways, guys, I gotta get going because I gotta make calls.
Yeah, it's getting late for everyone, I'm sure.
I'll see you guys.
Next week is Citizen King.
Fashion Week.
Citizen King is next week.
Okay.
So,
Citizen Kane?
Citizen Kane, yes.
Okay.
What did I even say?
Like, did they make a new one? Okay.
What did I say? King?
You said Citizen King. That's why I was like, did they?
I don't know, Kane. It's the king of movies. It changed cinema. It changed how movies are made. So now if you go back and
watch the script, dude. I thought Amadeus was long. Why are you doing this to us? Are we starting earlier? We're gonna have to. Charles Foster Kane, dude. Why?
Should we do this in 2 parts? Should we not do This Is Us, the TV show, and we do half and half? Like,
if it changed film, I mean, we might do that because there's a lot of conversations that need to happen about this movie. If it changed,
maybe start an hour earlier would be my suggestion if we're doing it next week, because if everybody can make
it, an hour earlier. Originally, we started at 7 before, but at least West Coast time.
Okay.
How long is the script?
It's an older one, so it is like
long.
How about telling me how long the script is?
I don't know. I would have to look it up, so I can't answer at the moment.
We should just have, what was his name? Mouse? No, it was Tank and Dozer. We should just have Tank upload it from the mainframe into our brains. Because that will take milliseconds instead of hours.
Yes.
Tank.
164 pages, including the title page, 164.
Okay.
Oh, is that all?
I mean, the original version is a little over 200, so I'm not sure.
I eat 164
oh my gosh, we are not reading a 200-page script. I don't care how much people like us.
All right, guys.
The good thing about them is they can play it back at double speed.
Bye.
Oh, there you go.
Good night, thanks.
The movie itself is only like 2 hours, but it's a long-ass script.
And it takes longer to read than to watch. Good night, Vicky. Thank you.
Good night.
So yeah, if you two want to see, I will share this.
Jacob, that is going to kill us if we read 200 pages.
It's worth dying for.
See, your version's only 164. My version.
I mean, we can handle 164,
but it was weirdly formatted, so maybe that's why. Maybe it was like.
We can handle 164 if we take a very short intermission and start a little early.
Like this one's really clean. I'm surprised they got a version this clean. Like someone obviously had it like.
Oh, totally. Yeah, no. The version that I read a couple of years ago, like I said, in addition to being 206 pages, the only reason I remember that is because it's the number of bones in the human body. It was very weirdly formatted, so maybe that's why. Maybe
God, reading a 206-page thing would be like trying to submit ourselves to the prison and the platform and trying to go for a year there.
I know our first one was Casablanca, and that one we only got through half, which is unfortunately we still want to maybe do the other half, but.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's up to you if you want to do half of it, or maybe like the first 100 pages, or.
I mean, it's a lot of pages, but this doesn't look too bad.
This doesn't look as long, actually, weirdly enough. I mean, yeah.
That was bad.
I thought Amadeus was long, and Amadeus was long, but this is.
How long was Amadeus?
What was it, 180?
I have it in my thing. Hold on.
Maybe we just. Well, this one we would want to talk about, but I would say if we just don't have an after discussion.
Right.
Then it takes up the same amount of time.
Depends on how many people sign up too.
Yeah, and again, because people are kind of intimidated or other reasons that might not be as many.
Oh, speak for yourself. I'm not intimidated.
Yeah, Amadeus was 174, 173.
Oh my God, we're gonna die.
So this is slightly shorter. if that helps.
That does help. It's good. Well, that's a lot. But again,
But I was
this
close.
is-
I said I was close though. I just seemed close.
yeah, but this
Okay.
is a good note for people writing their scripts. Look at how hesitant everybody is to read this long script. So if you're going to write a script and your script is going to be long, people are going to be a lot less willing to read it. It's going to be at the bottom of the pile of everybody else's.
I don't know that that's necessarily the case, but
It-
I will say make sure you have a reason for it to be that long. If you can trim
Even
it,
if you have a reason, even if it's going to be amazing, and once you read it, they'll go like, "This was totally worth it being this many
oh
pages."
yeah, no.
I'm
But
so glad. They're going to still be a lot more hesitant
a
to.
lot of long scripts are not like that. Is my point.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make it that long, make sure you have a reason for it to be that long. Is my only request.
And don't fool yourself. You probably think, "Oh no, I have a reason. It has to be this long."
You're showing the last
Aren't you-
page, by the way. Don't scroll up. Spoilers
Oh, thank you.
for a 90-year-old movie.
See, so you know about it though. Other people don't know about it.
I know. That's why I said get off the last
Yeah.
page.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And kind of like this one was maybe based on a real person. This was kind of roughly referred to a real person. And there is
Yeah.
also the
This
movie,
is another thing we can discuss about.
and there's the movie Mank. If you guys want to watch Mank, which I think is Netflix,
Yeah,
based about the writer of this movie and the process of writing this movie.
yes, which I think could be very cool
Oh,
as a side
excuse
discussion.
me.
In the meantime,
All right. Yep. I'm going to be late. Heather's yawning.
oh,
So-
good night.
Heather
Thank
is
you all.
yawning. I'm sorry.
Good night. No,
Oh.
it's a good sign. All right. And thank you for sticking with us. Like,
Yes, thank you for
subscribe,
coming
follow
to our
everybody.
show.
Everybody. What was that?
Thank you for coming to our show. Remember, the devil only wears Prada.
Oh no, the devil wore at least 12 designers in that movie, and I love every single
Well,
one of them.
all the designers are probably joining the devil in hell.
Although the purse that she has when she first walks out in the movie, that is Prada, which I did like. I was like, oof, pretty. Okay, good night.
Good night.